Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Strat Fan Forum Football Show. We got a SOMIFA preview show going on today. Mr. Tom Cook's with me as usual. Say hello, Tom.
Hello, Tom.
We had like 15 minutes of nonsense that we dumped and decided to start over again. Okay, 10 minutes. So you guys are saved from that.
And I'm going to ruin the beginning of this show by talking about that bad beginning to the aborted 10-minute one that we did.
Okay, so let's not spend another 10 minutes talking about our wasted 10 minutes, and let's talk about the 2015 card set, SOMIFA season, which is getting ready to kick off. We all have our coach, turned in our coach files to Mr. Ed Barrow, and he's preparing our regular season league file. So I think everybody's getting ready and excited. We can have some actual games being played starting this weekend.
Absolutely, Dennis. SOMIFA is probably SOMIFA is the league that is the most special to me from my own standpoint. I mean, everyone has, well, maybe not everyone, but I think most guys who play in a lot of the leagues might have one league or two leagues or that they have a particular special feeling for. SOMIFA was the first first modern keeper football league I ever joined. Okay, I joined in year 2 with one of the quote-unquote expansion teams. It was not a true expansion draft because Ed removed half the players from the original pool, so it was a very fair expansion draft. And it was a 12-team expansion draft because I thought it was 12 teams. And I joined with 2003. I went 12-4 with that team. I had the second pick overall. Tom Brady went first. And then I chose reigning NFL co-MVP Steve McNair, whose career immediately went on the downslide. And, of course, he tragically was eventually lost his life. He was off my team by then. But anyway, when 12-4.
That was a good pick, though. I mean, 12. You got a franchise quarterback there. Right after Mr. Brady.
I went 12-4 that first year. I think I made it. I think I made it to the semifinals.
Nice.
I think, and I have not been back since. and I have not been back since. That was 12 years ago.
Okay? Yeah. You've reminded me of something. I think SOMIFA for me is my oldest league as well. I mean, I joined halfway through the 2004 season. So I took over a team in 2003. Somebody quit and I got their team for like the last 4 games. And then in 2004, I started with a team where I could draft and trade and do everything. So I guess I was started in year 3 officially, but the last part of year 2. So
year 3 was the first year in which you had a full off season.
Exactly. And that's got to be the oldest league I've been in. Absolutely. Out of Wind, I joined a season or 2 later, and it's been nothing but fun ever since.
And, of course, Dennis, you were the New York Jets back in the day.
I think the Giants. Oh, no, Jets. You're right. I was the Jets.
You were the New York Jets because someone had the Seattle Seahawks name. You were the New York Jets. You were the Jets for a few years. And then when Seattle became available, you became Seattle, and I became the Jets. And you bemoaned and it was during the lean year for my franchise, which is all they really had in SOMIFA for the most part. And you bemoaned the fact that I was running your good Jets name into the ground by as you look at a 4-year stretch from 04 to 07 in which I won 20 games, 5-11, 5-11, 4 and 12, 6 and 10. There's the 12-4 first year.
Yeah.
Then I got Michael Vick with Philly, and I became competitive 3 years out of 4 in the playoffs. I rebuilt with Andrew Luck, and that's where we are now, year 4 of that. Whereas your own self, your first full year, 10-6, you had some nice 5-year run early, 10-6, 11-5, 15-1, 9-7, 11-5, but no Super Bowl appearances. Okay, then you had a couple lean years yourself, 3-13, 5-11, 9-7. You didn't win a playoff game. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, I go on about this, and I'm sure it irritates some people in other leagues, particularly people who are not in SOMIFA, or might have some negative view towards SOMIFA for any reason. But you and I have agreed for many years, and pretty much everyone in SOMIFA who plays in other leagues also agrees that SOMIFA, which is a 24-team league, has the greatest concentration of quality coaches out of any league out there. Some leagues that are larger, like a 30-team league, just to filter 30 guys, you might have a hard time getting guys. So maybe you end up with some coaches who aren't quite the quality. And now, of course, there's plenty of other excellent coaches out there who are not in SOMIFA. It doesn't mean that, if you're not in SOMIFA, you can't be a good coach. Of course not. There's several coaches in Order Win who don't play in SOMIFA who are very, very good coaches or top quality coaches. I'm just saying, if you're going to grade all 24 guys, what percentage of them are top flight coaches? And there's only like 2 or 3. Usually, there's only like 2 or 3 guys maybe. I have to look at the list again. In SOMIFA, who you would not see are definitely top quality coaches. Do you agree with that, Dennis?
Yeah, and I think that I agree with everything you said there, and it just shows you how this is like it's going to be the 12th year that I'm in the league, the 14th year overall.
13th for me.
13 for Tom, and I think we would both consider ourselves solid coaches, but yet neither of us had won the league up until last year when I finally broke through. And we're talking about.
Well, yeah, I think I'm a pretty good coach. You're known as a great coach. You have a lot of success in a lot of leagues. You win a lot of championships. You seem to make the Super Bowl in a lot of leagues, like regularly. So up until last year, you had not even made the SOMIFA Super Bowl, and much less won it.
Right, and
you not even made the Super Bowl, and that's going through. Let's forget about 2003 when he took over as an interim coach. But so during your first 10 years in SOMIFA, you did not make the Super Bowl, even though you made the playoffs 8 years out of 10. You did not make even one Super Bowl.
Yeah, and if I'm sharing out your sheet, Tom, that you put together, I would always get like, oh man, I'm putting so much pressure on myself. I'm going 0-1, 0-1 and 1-1 in the playoffs. I win a game and then I get knocked out, or I get knocked out in the first round. And I was like, man, that's terrible. But then I started looking at other people's coaches, and if you think about it, if you win the Super Bowl, you go 3-0. That's great.
Yes.
If you don't win the Super Bowl, there's one other team that goes 2-1, and then besides that, everybody else is 500 or worse. So there's nothing wrong with having a below 500 playoff record, because unless you win the Super Bowl, you're not going to have an above 500 playoff record. That's why it's so incredible with guys like Ed, that has like a 20-8 playoff record. Even Ron Martin and Paul, they have above 500 playoff records. Ron's 12-6. Paul's at 11-8. Those are the only 3 coaches, except for Tim, who also has 9-8. He's lost twice in the Super Bowl. So those are the only 4 coaches that are above 500 in the playoffs. Well,
there's actually one
Brad.
more.
Yeah, Brad as well.
And Green Bay is 3-2.
Yeah, okay, 3-2. So, but you're right there at around 500. It's tough to have a winning record. In SOMIFA, or just about in any league in the playoffs, unless you're consistently winning championships.
Sure, but and also that like most leagues that you're in, I doubt you go 3 years without making a Super Bowl appearance, or
No, that's not true. I mean, it's not. It's tough. It's tough to make the Super Bowl in any league. I mean, there's an exception with the team.
It seems like most leagues, you're either in the Super Bowl or making the Super Bowl.
No, that's just
fairly regularly. Well, maybe you're playing. I don't know. You're playing 13 leagues. But look, so me for you, you had a 4-year stretch, and this is recent. You had a 4-year stretch where you didn't even win a playoff game. Forget about the Super Bowl. So Dennis Crowley, generally, and I know you're very modest, Dennis, and humble. At least outwardly, perhaps inwardly, I don't know. But but you appear to be very modest. You have a modest personage, but you're considered one of the very few elite coaches out there. You're always tough. Does this face look
modest? Does this face look humble?
I don't know, but you're always in the mix. And then here's a league where for 4 years you didn't win one playoff game.
Yes.
You made the playoffs twice, but you didn't win a playoff game. So, and like I said, before last year, you and I had combined, forget about your interim year, you and I had combined for 21 SOMIFA seasons, 0 Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah, but again, I think that's the nature of Stratomatic football. It's the nature of the NFL. In a one and done tournament.
Well, come on, with Dennis. Tell me another league that you've been in for more than 5 years where you have not made a Super Bowl.
Well, I've not made a Super Bowl.
Yeah, which was true up until last year in SOMIFA.
Let me think. Frozen Tundra, I've never made the Super Bowl. I've been in that league for 5 years.
What's the problem?
I don't know. I don't have Russell Wilson. I've got Derek Carr as my quarterback, and before that, Peyton Manning, and he'd always throw interceptions in the playoffs.
That's what he did for me. Is there hidden stuff in
I'm telling you, man.
I tell you, SSFA. I made the big trade for stupid Peyton Manning, and he put up all these records in the regular season, just like the NFL. And then he went like I had him for 2 years. The last two good cards, last two real good cards. I traded his very last good card. But I had him for 2 years in the postseason with a stacked team, and I went 2-2 in the postseason, and he threw like 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
I had a game where he threw seven interceptions in a game. 7.
Well, this was the whole playoffs to me. He threw like 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in like 4 playoff games. And I lost that stupid Super Bowl, 19-16. He was 1 for 17 throwing 1 passes.
This is
like real life.
Yeah.
And even to make that Super Bowl, I had to give up. I don't think I scored like more than like 23 points in the first 2 games. I was like, I was like, come on. It was like the same as real life.
Yeah.
Are there hidden links in strat? They know it's a playoff game, so Manning's going to struggle in the playoffs. Do they know it's a late fourth quarter, and all of a sudden your clutch quarterback gets hot? I don't know.
I don't know.
We there's some conspiracy thoughts out there.
No, I don't agree with it.
I swear to God.
No, but listen, because I've won a handful of Super Bowls in my league, at least 4 or 5 with Peyton Manning as my quarterback. So there's no anti-Peyton Manning thing. It's just that particular league, he just performed terribly. What can I say? So
also my SSFA league.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
We also, yeah.
But
I swear to God, it seems like, I swear to God, I could be wrong, but it seems like if you're the big name elite NFL wide receiver, that his long gains go for way longer than some other guy, who you might have a similar longest or might also have a dot.
Okay. Well, share your screen. Let's try to do a SOMIFA show at some point in the future where we don't spend 10 minutes talking about how difficult it is to win and how good the coaches are. Because I think people are getting tired of patting ourselves on the back so much when we do a SOMIFA show.
Well, they should make their league better.
Yeah.
I guess that's not their cup of tea, but okay.
So show us the screen and let's dig into this thing.
I am sharing my screen now. I might control this thing.
I am, but I see your screen and I've got you locked in, but you weren't sharing your screen before.
Oh, I know, but I started doing it right before you said. Anyway, okay. Anywho, so SOMIFA, we're going to go through 24 teams. I probably actually only have about 95 minutes, which is odd, or 100 minutes. That'll be 4 minutes a team. But what we're going to do is I'd like you to have the SOMIFA transactions on your screen, able to look at it in case you happen to recall a big trade a guy made. You can maybe look that up, okay?
Yep.
And I've got Tim Hollier's wonderfully sorted draft picks, so we could quickly see, you drafted him in the 3rd round or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
And, of course, I've got rosters, which we don't even need because we got this. So I'll probably get rid of that. And I got the year by year. So we start off, as we always do, Dennis, with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, a couple of things to say. We had a couple of coaching changes this year, right?
Arizona's the same coach, though. That's Bob. He's been the Arizona coach for a while.
Yeah, I know. But did you bring up those SOMIFA transactions?
I got them on the screen. Yep.
Go to the top and just run down the coaching, who left the league real quick. I know Renee left the league. New York Giants. Nelson left the league. Oakland Raiders.
Jeff.
Do we have one
his name to New England, from New England?
All right, now forget about that part. Just tell me who left the league.
Renee left. That's it.
Renee left. Renee's New York Giants was in the league forever. I think he's a founding member. And Nelson was also a founding member. So those 2 guys are gone. And in their place comes Jersey Joe Golden.
Yep. And Dan Morin.
And Dan Morin.
Yep.
And those 2 are very, very good coaches, excellent coaches. So the coaching certainly did not drop off, no. That's for sure.
And the number of sacks will increase this year overall, just because Dan's in the league.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
He's got another mad sacker like Zeb and myself, and several other coaches.
Sure. Now in Arizona, we got Bob. The Bob's franchise has been struggling. I do love this year-to-year thing that I put together, Dennis, so wonderfully. I pat myself on the back for that. Bob, this is his 5th year in the league. You see his team's been losing 4-3, 4 and 6 wins. He makes a lot of trades for veteran players. He traded a very high pick for Calvin Johnson a couple of years ago. Now Calvin's retired.
You got Derek Wolfe this year with his first-round pick.
That's right. So Bob, he's younger though. He's like 26. So
Right.
Bob's still trying to kind of get his legs under him. Let's look at this team. You got Joe Flacco, a quarterback who did not have a good card. I don't think, Dennis, correct?
Let me pull up the thing. I think he's 20, like 28, 29, something like that.
Sure, but sometimes you got to look at the overall card. I mean, the flat pass is good. The short pass though has only got 10 units on right.
Ed has him 33.
Yeah, only 10 short pass units right, and not even that great wrong. And 3-8 on the bomb. So not a great card, but you can do some things that the turnovers don't look too bad. LeGarrette Blount is okay, I think, as a running back, 4.3 average. Never known as much a receiver. That's a pretty nice wrong card, right, Dennis?
Yeah, Blount's got a decent card.
Yeah, the right card is not that great though, like most backs this year.
And you got to be happy. I mean, when you're watching Thursday Night Football and you see LeGarrette Blount, if you have him and you see him bust a 41-yard run, you're like, yes, touchdown with a dot. Thank you very much.
Yes, I would also say, Dennis, we're broadcasting this right before week 3 of the NFL season on the Friday after the Thursday night game. So the Patriots and Texans played 27-0 New England behind Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. But not a good start to the NFL season for a particular loudmouth supposed football draft guru, Dennis.
Well, you said,
good.
You don't mind if you're wrong on guys as long as you're right on the guys you're right on. So, yeah, you may have put a little dig into Stephon Diggs and maybe weren't too happy on Willie Snead. You didn't see him as a position of need, but those two guys have got off to hot starts. But some of the guys you were high on have also been doing well, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about it, but I think if you're going to run your mouth and say these things and you criticize people for drafting, let's say Stephon Diggs, then you got to admit that it looks like it's early, but it looks like you're probably wrong. Those two guys are leading the NFL in receiving yards.
Yeah, it's funny. Those two guys went off, and then you had you didn't like Michael Kendricks or Eric Kendricks, and he was the defensive player of the week 1. Yeah. So it was just like, man,
not a good start. But yeah, but what I said was as long as I'm right of the guys that I draft was what I said. At least that's what's most important to me. But Kendricks actually, his run grade is still very weak, but his pass grade is very good. It's only 2 games early, but certainly he looks good. And Diggs to make matters even worse. You know who Diggs had his big game against, don't you?
The Jets. Oh no, he had.
I'm glad to see you following the NFL very closely.
Oh no, he had it against Demarius Randall. He tore him a new one.
He had it against Demarius Randall, who I was waxing prolifically on. Who I drafted number 21 overall in Autumn Wind.
Yeah, the peanut punch didn't help him too much. The Randall.
No, he wasn't with him. Although actually Sam Bradford was really, really accurate. Randall's coverage wasn't really too bad actually in a lot of those completions, but it is early, so that's where I'm not worried about Randall, but certainly the other guys, Diggs particularly looks really good. I still think Snead is more a product of Breeze on Kenny Akers is what I've seen, but we'll see. It's still early, but those two guys are doing great. Anyway, I have to do me a culpa than I should. Anyway, so I'll have to be a little more humble next year. We'll see. It's not my strong suit. He's got Flacco, LeGarrette Blount. Yeah, Jeremy Maclin, Calvin Johnson are receivers.
My timing is impeccable. Thank you.
See, Bob has to work on some of the active GMing a little more. You got Calvin Johnson, Jeremy Maclin, and Alan Hearns. Maybe it's time to dump. Maybe you can dump Calvin Johnson somewhere for a pick.
Yeah, but he had already paid a number 1 pick for him, so I don't think he was too eager to get rid of him. Well, what can you do? It's a sunk cost, I guess. But that'll be a fun team to play with. You get those 3 top 2.
Yeah, but you probably could have got at least a 4 for Calvin Johnson with this card. Maybe. I don't know, maybe not.
I know, but maybe.
Hard to give some
exactly. Some people are active on the trade market, trying to dump their old guys when they're not going to compete, and other guys are going to. He's got some pieces in here. Yeah, he's going to write it out and enjoy him.
Don't give me that.
Anyway, he's got some decent pieces here. You can't tell me that if you had this team, you couldn't get it to 9 wins in the playoffs. I think you could.
Well, I haven't looked at the defense yet, but let's look at the offense. Flacco's not as strong downfield. That's a problem with the receivers. But you got 3 excellent receiving cards. I don't think Hurns is maxed, but he's still got the big average and stuff. Oh, he's like a solid number 2. Okay. Vance McDonald's is a tight end position, not too good for the year. Now, we're just talking the year, not the future, of course. Offensive line, 6'5", 4 interior blocking, 4 zip tackles. Pass blocking is weak. I don't think this offense is going to do a whole lot, in my opinion. But the 3-4 defense goes 6-4-5. Then the linebacking crew against the pass goes 5-0-4-4. With the 4s at the corner, 54 safety. No, I don't think I would get this team to 9-7, Dennis. I don't think I would. We got some pass rush, which I shouldn't neglect anymore, even though we'll get to that with a couple of teams in particular. So I don't know. This team, Blunt's not got the good right. Doesn't have a lot of carries. Flacco's bomb is not as good as usual. Vance McDonald can't really catch. On this, he's got 30 catches, 10.9. Okay, he did better than I thought. I'm gonna go 6-10 for this team. What do you think?
I will go 5-11.
So I was gonna pick 5-11. So let me be a little optimistic. All right, so Dennis, are you gonna record the?
I got it right here. It's on my screen.
Or are we gonna be at a total loss once?
Yeah, as usual, I will take the guff. But when it comes to the end of the season, my predictions are going to be better than yours.
If you can find them.
Yeah, if not, then if they're worse than yours, then I'll conveniently lose them again. That's my plan.
That's what happens.
Now you see the overall plan here.
All right, now we go to the Atlanta Falcons, who ripped off yours truly for DeAndre Hopkins. A great deal for Nathan. But which I went into that trade at depth, and a phone call to it again. But anyway, I agreed to a trade, then I changed my mind, but doing so put Nathan in a really bad spot, so I agreed to go through the trade, even though I knew it was a horrible trade. And sure enough, it is a horrible trade. Anyway, that's enough of that. We should just put that to bed. But all right, so this team's it's a pretty good-looking team. I looked at them earlier because I have his first-round pick next year. You got Kirk Cousins at quarterback. This is an interesting card. Now, I know you're going to look at the rankings with Ed, which is good to do, but you got to go by more than that, as you know, because certain cards and certain systems can play better or worse. You know what I'm saying? And I think, so let's look at Cousins. Cousins got a great flat pass card. Now, short pass, 5'11", 13. I see 14, 21. He's got 4 units of must run with 2 to 7 plus 6 or more. So you get a little something there. Interception 2 as well. 14, 21 short pass. And 5-10 on the bomb. You see, the bomb is not that great this year in this.
Yeah, we're just talking about that. It's the last couple sets, you haven't had a lot of those guys who have a bomb guest right on 8 or 9. There's a few of them in there, but it's not like before where you had half a league were pretty decent on deep throws. It's tough to throw the ball deep these days.
Yeah, really. As you look at the draft file, quarter rankings, long pass wrong. How many guys have got more than 11 units? And 11 units is not like a great number. You got Phillip Rivers got 12. You got Brady's got 14. You got Aaron Rodgers has got 12. Mariota 12. Not Mariota. Is that right?
I don't know.
Mariota's got 12.
Yeah,
12. So I mean, there's guys, but Brady's the only one above 12, and a lot of guys who are good, who are in the top rankings on my file, which has a lot of similarities with Ed's, have only like 10 or 11 or even single digits.
Right.
When you have guys like Tyrod Taylor and Alex Smith and Brandon Whedon and Josh McCown.
Yeah, and some of those guys
who will be starting
have those.
Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say those guys that have those units, some of those guys you're mentioning, you're risking a lot because they also have really high pick numbers as well. So you're gonna throw it deep, but you're gonna wind up throwing a lot of interceptions if you do that.
Yes, and, then the long pass right, a lot of guys have must runs, but you've only got Carson Palmer and Brady have got 7. Jay Cutler's got 7. But yeah, so it's not a great year for trying to throw the bomb, which makes sense with the modern NFL, I guess. So that'll be interesting. It's always a lot harder, I think, to coach when you have like limits in your passing game. Like I like to be able to pass at all three levels. I mean, I feel like I can threaten you flat and short and long. Obviously it's going to make it harder for you on defense. If the long passes take it away from you a lot, then I think your running game becomes more important. And you got to have, you got to at least then be good flat and short. And Cousins is certainly good flat and short.
Right.
And better than a lot of those other guys in the bomb. His first year there. And Cousins off to a bad start in the NFL. I mean, Nathan has not ever had good luck here with the quarterback position in recent years. He had RG3, then he had Nick Foles. Now he's got Kirk Cousins. So, I mean, if Cousins ends up having a bad season or whatever, Nathan will be like, what do I have to do here to get a quarterback? They gave Cousins all the money. I figured he'd be good. And it's like, Foles had 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and RG3 looked great as a rookie. And, I think a lot of us would have liked to have those guys when Nathan had them. And then all of a sudden it's like, they're not doing well. It's only 2 games for Cousins, so we'll see. He's got TJ Yeldon at running back, who's got a better card than I realized, as you pointed out, Dennis, when we did the draft review show. 182 carries, 4-point-something average.
Yeah, and he's a low fumble number, so he's got a lot of good stuff there. And he can run it inside. Not a huge, not really big runs on the edges. A couple of big runs, but not like not too chunky. So he can go guest right up the middle and off tackle. So that's not bad.
Yeah, well, the guest right off tackle isn't that great. The guest right linebacker is a little too bad. But overall, linebacker off tackle, wrong column. It's a column you have to respect. You can't just defer to that column. Otherwise, he'll hurt you. And the offensive line is strong outside of a right tackle 0-3. He's got good pass blocking on the left side with 7s. He's got right guard 6 and 5s elsewhere.
Now, that would drive me nuts. I don't know why, but I could never – I mean, even if I had a 0-3, I would scour the rosters and try to find a 4-5 or a 4-4, even if it's a one-year card, just so I wouldn't have to put up with that 0-3 at right tackle. That's
Well, Nathan made a number of trades, I think, and gave up a lot of future assets. I don't think he thinks this team is ready to win the whole thing right now, so he probably didn't want to invest too much for the year.
It certainly looks like a playoff team to me.
Yes, it does to me as well, unfortunately for me, because I have a draft pick. But, he loves to have the blocking back. He normally plays the 2 tight end, but his second tight end here is Demetrius Harris, so you'll see Lance Kendricks in the blocking back, I think, who's a 4-5. He's got the dot, so and let's see if he can go deep or not. He can, so Nathan likes that. He likes if he has blocking back, he wants him to be able to threaten you down the field, because Nathan likes to go up top. Now, what's he got for running back depth for the year? Because Yeldon only got 182 attempts.
Langford's there too.
Yeah, he only had 3.6 average. What kind of card does he have?
It's not that great, but
no, but it's not terrible. Off tackle and run, you can do some things. You'll probably be guessed wrong most of the time. He's got excellent receiving card for the downfield.
That's where his strength's going to be.
And Donald Brown had only a 3.9 average. He's really not good at all.
No.
So now he's got Hopkins and Hilton. So he's got great receivers there. Okay. Hilton with a big average and a dot. I know Hopkins is maxed out, of course. And
Givens has some juice.
We know he likes to run those 3 wide sometime. One of that's going to be harder for him to do with this running back. He doesn't care. If he wants to run 3 wide, he'll run 3 wide.
Right.
And Cousins is great flat. So a lot of times
Jordan Reed's a nice target too.
Yep, a lot of times you run 3 wide. The flats open up for you nicely if you have a really good flat quarterback. And Nathan certainly is quite proficient with all types of offensive formations. Right. Likes to run the 3 wide more than most. Flat pass, double team completions. That's nice. That'll help you. So it's gonna be an interesting offense. Looks like it's pass heavy. Good pass block that'll help with the dump offs. We'll see what happens. The limited attempts for Yeldon could limit the team a little bit, but it's certainly a good enough offense starting. And of course, the coach plays into it. I know Nathan's a good coach. Nathan, when he has a good team, does well. So now, these are not the final preseason files. We should add that.
Somebody might submit another coach file, but this is usually the 9 times out of 10, if not more, this is what you're going to see. So Nathan goes 5-0-4 on the defensive line. He's playing a 3-4. Goes 4-4-4-6. No, what am I doing here? You were misleading me. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Oh, I said Anthony Barr. I thought it said Anthony Bethea. Oh,
Antoine, I was like, he's like a linebacker. Anyway, he goes 5.04, and it's Antoine Bethea. But
so he's playing. He's playing. Dan pointed this out in the forum that we have 18 teams playing a 3-4 this year, and only 6 teams playing a 4-3. Now, this would have been a team you thought maybe he'll play a 4-3 because he's got Tuba, Ituba Rubin, and that was his only rated defensive tackle. He could have traded for another 4, but instead he decides to run a 3-4 and play a 0-rated Timmy Jernigan there at nose tackle.
Well, again, I think Nathan's move was, all right, I'm trading for Cousins or trading for Hopkins. They're giving up assets, but these are not older players. I do want to do something decent this year, especially with my first-round pick belonging to somebody else, especially maybe belonging to me. Well, no, I don't think that would play the role who belonged to, but he did have a first-round pick next year, traded for 1 and 2 this year for Cousins. But those are not older players. So I think he's still thinking, look, I'm still looking long-term, so I'm not going to get too crazy investing for the year because I think it feels like his team, before those trades, his roster looked a little empty. So I think he feels like my team still needs a lot of work, so I'm not going to invest too much. And look, sometimes you get a 4th and 5th-round pick. If you're a pretty good drafter and if you have an eye for the young players and your team needs a lot of help for the long term, sometimes those picks can turn into some very good players. So I could see him choosing to do that. Now let's see. The defensive line goes 5.04. The linebacking crew against the pass goes 4.46. But it's not bad in terms as far as pass defense is, as you know, Dennis. You have one linebacker 6, and you're playing a 3-4 all day. You can play 2 guys in looking or sliding a guy out there, and even better for Nathan, he's got corners 6'5", safety 4. So unless he's facing a tight end that's real dangerous, like a Gronk or somebody, Tyrann Mathieu can come up into the flats and make it easier for him to help in the run game and to help those linebackers there. So you're going to see a lot of that free safety coming up and the inside linebackers coming to the line of scrimmage and stuff like that. He's not going to let you run at his 0 willy-nilly. And, of course, Matt Mathau could come right up to the nose tackle as an inside linebacker 6 because he got a run rating of 6. Now, traditionally, Nathan likes to blitz a lot. Him and Dan are the same mind when it comes to that. The pass rush here is a lot lighter than what Nathan is used to having. Now, he does have a defensive end 9, does have an outside linebacker 9. I don't see much on the bench here in terms of pass rush. And the DeBoer is a 6. The nose tackle is a 5, so you can do something there. Do you think Nathan's going to be blitzing heavily if the matchup is there, or you think he's going to play more of the style I said with the Honey Badger coming up and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, he'll play the way he normally plays. I think he'll mix it up. He'll call run. He'll blitz. He'll show blitz a lot and call run to try to catch you if you're trying to run draws to expose the 0 nose tackle. But he'll coach him up. I think he'll have a good season. But he does have some flaws. Now, Tom, I want to try something because we're on a time. We're both on a time schedule. So I'm going to be watching the clock. And when I hear you going too long, I'm going to go with the Inception horn. That means we have to stop and make a prediction. So let's do it with Nathan. Let's make a prediction right now. What's his season record going to be? No more pontificating. Let's get to it.
Okay. Let me see if I can choose a different sound effect, Dennis. I don't know if I like that one. What about the doorbell? How about the doorbell? It's a little less ominous.
I know. I like this.
Oh yeah. No, I don't like that. That's negative. The cash register or the doorbell, please. Something that's not too onerous. There you go.
Okay.
Now I have not checked out his schedule.
That
I know he's a good coach.
I'm gonna say 9-7 for Nathan and the Atlanta Falcons, playoff team.
I'm gonna say surprisingly disappointing season for Nathan. I'm gonna go. I know you're saying it's wishful thinking. By the way, I'm gonna say 7-9, and I'm gonna say 7-9 because the defense and the lack of carries. And one thing, Dennis, the Jets have one must-win game this year. I have to beat Nathan week 8 so I can get a better draft pick from the Hopkins deal. That's the must-win game of the year, and I have to move on because I've been it's a tough team. There's a lot of close games, and like you said, there's a lot of competitive teams this year. It should be a lot of very interesting. Buffalo, that is Scott, right?
Yes.
Okay, he's got Jay Cutler at quarterback. Now, this is a team that is a former champion. It was a tremendous team for like 4 or 5 years running. Some of those under previous management. Now, a lot of those guys have gotten longer in the tooth, and they're not as good as they used to be.
But Cutler's got a really nice card. I mean, he always seems to get a better card than when you watch him play in the NFL, there's some guys that are the opposite. You see him play well and their cards don't reflect it. But Jay seems to always get a solid card in Strat.
Well, I think a lot of that is Jay Cutler's NFL body language. I think when you watch Jay Cutler, it's like, oh, this guy. But now also, Dennis, if it's not time for a prediction yet, but I'm going too long on a point that I should not go too long on, then you could use the ominous horn. How's that sound?
It sounds excellent.
All right, so let's look at Cutler. Very fine flat pass card, which he's now started to do later in his career here. I see 13 short pass right, but I see Dennis 4 units of must run and a 9 is 6 yards or more. Very nice end run as well, those 6 and 8 short gain. Short pass wrong is weak on some of these quarterbacks this year, Dennis, which is interesting. Now the bomb, Jay goes 7-11, 7-11, 12, and 10. But at least you get threatened a little bit with that. So interesting card for Cutler, not great. I feel like it's a little worse than we might think by the initial rankings. Now AP, as Dan Morton correctly predicted, Dan does a great job looking at running backs in the offseason to determine boom or bust. And Dan's the new coach of the Miami Dolphins, but not new to those of us who've been playing online for a couple of years. He's been in a lot of leagues last year or two. Yeah, AP is boom or bust, Dennis. I mean, he's got long gain 2 right and wrong.
Yeah, but
this is
one thing
this
about
is not
Scott.
Your grandfather's Adrian Peterson card.
No, it's definitely not. It's definitely not. But Scott is a very patient coach. He'll stick with that run. So I bet when you look at the season stats, the stats will look good. And Peterson will win some games for him that he maybe shouldn't have won, and he'll have cost him some games that maybe he shouldn't have lost. That's the kind of card he has.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I think that's how the boomer bust guys do play out. Yeah, but that's definitely going to have the offense. Receivers Crabtree and Fitzgerald, both more like number 2 type cards at this point. Crabtree's maxed out actually, flat and short, and 12-18 long, but he doesn't have the long gains. He's only got like plus 38 there. Now Larry, the Hall of Famer, is maxed out flat and short with double team completions, but only 9-15 in the bomb. Also no long gains on the card. So they're effective receivers that I think they'll help with the Jay Cutler slap pass game. Ben Watson had a big year last year. Dwayne Allen is usually pretty good. He only has a 0 pass block. Oh, he's a 5. There you go. He was injured last year. They only had 16 catches.
Yeah, the card reflects it.
Yeah, and AP is not that great a receiver either.
Take a quick peek at A.J. McCarron because, I wonder if you might give thought to, depending on the defense he's facing, to starting McCarron some games because he's got that super max flat card.
He is super max flat. He's only 13 on the short pass with 5 must runs, and the must run is not quite as good. Interception not quite as low as you'd like for a guy that's supposed to be a flat pass maven. I would stick with Cutler, but you know what? If he's playing, the exception could be if you're playing a real bad team.
Yeah, or you have a team that
plays like a 4-3 with a weak front 7.
Exactly.
Then maybe you go McCarron. I'd like it better if AP had a more of a traditional card.
Right.
It's going to force a lot of run calls or whatever. But anyhow, I'm sure McCarron might see some action.
Let's take a look at the defense. Ben Watson's got a sneaky card too. Ben Watson's got a really nice card.
Yeah, offensive line 4 7s, but also 3 6s run blocking, and they're all lined up at the same spot. 3-4 defense goes 5-5-5 because Marcel comes from a 4-3, right, Dennis? Yes, he does. Yep. And linebackers go 4-4-5-4, corner 6-5, safety 5-4. So pretty solid-looking defense. A little light on the pass rushers are going to hurt you for the dump off. He's got 4s of coverage at linebacker. The short pass defenders are good. So I think his defense will be pretty good. Sometimes he'll suffer when the dump off comes along. What do you think, Dennis?
Yeah, and I think that this is another case of the reason why we have more 3-4s is because guys will get a really solid defensive tackle like Marcel Darius with a 6, and they won't have a defensive tackle to pair him with. So they'll figure, why am I going to chase a defensive tackle? I'll just play him as a nose 5 and go from there. Yeah.
He and also I think just the flexibility. It feels like it's easier to. I feel like when you play 3-4, you get 2 linebackers into a running zone, and or 2 linebackers into a flat pass zone more often. Then you can properly flood the zone in a 4-3. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's more effective at the goal line against the run, of course, which is a complaint that a lot of us have had for a while.
I think that's a fair complaint. So Buffalo, I haven't looked at the
Don't worry about
schedule.
Yeah, but don't worry about schedule. Let's just let it fly.
I'm gonna give it ding. I'm gonna give it 7 and 9.
7 and 9. Okay, I will
I was gonna go
go.
8 and 8, but
I will go 8 and 8 just because you said you were going to do that, and sometimes your first impressions are right. I do like the receivers and the quarterback card he has, and I think that'll help him.
yeah, okay. And the run blocking and the whole offensive line will help him because the bad run blockers on one side. So when people
Yeah, so
against the team.
Peterson's chunky, but when he lands on the D card, he's always going to get those the positive, +8 or +3. He's going to get the +8 because if with those sixes on that one side.
Yeah, and you really need that.
Yeah,
you really need that with the chunky. Well, it's always helpful, but with the chunky back, it feels like it's a little more helpful because the guy's not going anywhere on his card sometimes. So it's a team that's like less than some of its parts in some way because you see Peterson, Cutler's got a good card. Defense has a lot of good ratings in the secondary, but Peterson being chunky, the pass rush, Cutler seemed to rear his ugly head in Stroud, a la Manning. Now, Brad, Chicago Bears only made the playoffs once in the last 5 years, but last year was 8 and 8 with a great defense. He's had 2 pretty good years out of 3, and it seems to be in the upswing. Now he's got Tyrod Taylor and Matt Ryan, and he's starting Tyrod Taylor, who was a top 5 quarterback in both Ed and I, both the ranking for Ed and I, largely because of the must runs and the low turnovers. 2 to 7 to 9 yards or more in the must run. So when you look at a card that's got 15 units of must run, I'm telling you that 7/12 of those are practically completion. It's 9 yards or more. And right. 2 to 4 is better than that. So you can count that as like another 7 completions or 7 or 8 completions, which brings his 9 completions up to 16 completions, or 17 completions, which would be a very high number if it was your short pass right number by itself. His flat pass is okay, 5 only incomplete. His turnovers are minuscule. His long pass wrong is only 7, but his long pass right's 2. But with 15 units, where 2 to 7 is 9 or more, and 2 to 8 is 5 or more, doesn't have the dominant end run like Russell did last year. So it's a weird card, not what you expect for a top 5 card, but that's where he is. I feel like he's going to play worse than that top 5 ranking. I think it's a mathematical type of ranking, even though Ed says it's subjective. How do you think Taylor's going to play?
The problem is, and I've experienced this with Russell Wilson over and over again, is that if you have good coaches that know how to double team, you lose that 5, 6, 7 must run. So you wind up looking at that double team column, which you already excellently brought up the point that must run quarterbacks or heavy run quarterbacks, pistol quarterbacks are not getting their proper treatment on the double team column. So it's easier to stop them if you get a correct double team. And so I think that's why they play a little worse, especially in leagues with good coaches, good defensive coaches.
Okay. And we all know the double team still reigns supreme, even though we got double teams on some of the receivers now. Rest of this offense, you got Giovanni Bernard at the halfback of 4.7 average, 154 carries, only 2 fumbles. A very nice soft tackle and run card. I didn't realize. I'm looking at some of these cards for the first time, actually, believe it or not. Wow, he's a very nice soft tackle and run card. I did not know that.
Incredible card.
And, of course, he's always a very good receiver. Nice yardage there. You see that. You got Amar Bradshaw still, not still doing anything, like 31 carries. Is there another back in the horizon here? Tavon Austin?
He can run unlimited, but
52 carries, unlimited right. Half with 8.3. That looks whoa! Does he have a huge fumble number? I see 3 fumbles on there.
He does, like 100 or something like that, 80 or 100.
Like 100?
I think it's like 10%. I think it is. Let me see.
Let me tell you about Tavon Austin.
Let me open that card rankings up. So
rumbling, bumbling, stumbling.
Yeah, so you got to watch it with him, but he can't be effective. So Austin.
Yeah, Chris Polk on the file under Mr. Austin. That's like
5.77. So
simultaneously fail
so
at
if you guess him right, he's 100, 10%. If you guess him wrong, he's 50.
You could. Well, that off tackle card is probably still worth it. Now his receivers: Nate Washington, 47 with a 14.0. That's not a great card, although he is 12-18 deep. Ruben Randall, 57, has got a pretty good card. I think he's also 12-18. So he's got number 2 type of guy. Jordan Cameron, I think, has got big 11.0 this year. Not bad. Offensive line, light on the pass blocking outside of center. excellent run blocking, which is 6'5" in the middle. So maybe Chris Polk will come in to do some short yardage work, I guess. This offense is weird, Dennis. It is a very strange offense.
Well, the thing is, when you have those good guess wrong runners like Gio Bernard, and you pair him with a quarterback like Tyrod Taylor, where you want people, you kind of don't want people to call run. You want them to call pass so you can get the must runs. It's a weird dynamic. I've had that with Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson before. If you really, well, Lynch not so much because you have the good guess right running, but you know what I mean. Like you kind of want them. You want them to guess run at times to get those guessed wrong passing columns, but you also want them to guess pass so you can get the must runs. So it's kind of a strange dynamic.
One thing that works there is that Taylor is pretty solid on the flat. So if you want to try and throw flats, you can, but this running game can't sustain guessed right run calls. And in that scenario, Dennis, what you really want is some excellent short pass receiving cards.
Right.
And if you had Russell Wilson or Tyrod Taylor with a couple of maxed out short pass receivers or someone really dangerous, then okay, they're going to guess run. They're not going to respect me. I'm going to pop receiver on the defense and get some nice yardage on my guy. I know you had Deshaun Jackson on one of your teams doing well that way.
Right.
Now, even though this offense is weird, the defense is pretty studly normally. Let's see what we got here. Look at the names. He chose another defensive lineman in the first round this year with Malcolm Brown.
Wow.
You got J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, Malcolm Brown, Justin Houston, Thomas Davis. Then you have youngsters like Bashad Breeland, Calvin Pryor, and Demarius Randall. So there's a lot of firepower on this defense. This is pretty impressive.
A very good GMing job getting those guys.
Yeah.
Those you usually cannot trade for those types of names. You need to draft them.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, you can only trade for these guys when they're 31. And this is with Lawrence Timmons falling off. So, I mean, you got 6. He plays a 4-3. He goes 6'6", 5'5" in the line. Goes 5'5", 6" against the pass at linebacker with 6'4", 5" against the run. He's got the 212, the defensive line, including asterisk 4. He's got a 10 at left outside, a 7 at right outside. Okay, and then the secondary is not bad. I hear the siren. It's time for a prediction. I like the defense a lot. The offense will do some things. That running game. If he only had another back with some carries, I have to make a guess. I'm gonna go 9-7. I think the other two guys are gonna get Brad the over. I was gonna go 8-8, but I'll go 9-7.
I'm gonna go 10-6. I'm even more optimistic. I think that Tavon Austin card could be good. I think that Gio Bernard card could be good, and I like that Tyrod Taylor card. So I think the offense will be just fine. The receivers are a little weak, but he'll make it up on the skill players.
I wish he had another running back with just a middling type of card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That would really help that offense a lot. 100 attempt guy who was just like an average card.
Yeah, you're looking for somebody like I don't know, like Darren McFadden or
whatever.
LeGarrette Blount, that kind of guy.
Yeah. Cincinnati Bengals, God willing, Jay Villing, two-time SSFA champion. This is his 3rd season with the club. They have not made the playoffs yet. Jay is, of course, an excellent coach. Otherwise, you don't win multiple SSFA titles. 8-8, 7-9. But this team is going to be in the mix, I think, based upon what we've seen. I haven't looked now. Some of these that I have not looked at closely, Dennis. Off the top of my head, I do feel like Ed, Paul, you, Jay, those teams. I feel like just from the trades you've made and what I generally know of your teams, you guys are probably in the mix hunt to try to make the Super Bowl. I'm sure other teams will surface as we go through this, and maybe one of you guys will be knocked out of that consideration by me anyway. It doesn't mean I'm right, but let's look at Jay's card. Now, Jay was excited last year to draft Derek Carr, number 7 overall, and I'll tell you what, Dennis, that preseason rookie competition really brought out the best in Andy Dalton. He had a great season.
He's made the leap.
66.1 with 25 TDs and a 1.8 interception percentage despite being injured, and he's got a very fine card. Where does NFL have Dalton in the quarterback rankings?
He's got to have him top 5, I would think. Let me check it out. Your Ed has him at number 9. Ed has him at number 9.
I also have Dalton at number 9 in my rankings. Okay, he's got an excellent flat pass card, just short of max, but virtually maxed. He's got 2.59, 14, 20 on the short pass, with 8 units of must run, but it's 2 to 7, 5 units or more. It's not bad. 4, 10 deep. So I'm not sure why he's not coming out a little better in the rankings for both Ed and I, which is interesting. Because I think it's subjective, and mine is
Well,
mathematical.
you only have hits on long pass guessed right on the edges, so that's hurting him. The interceptions are a little above average, I would guess, for an elite quarterback. So, and it's probably just the guys ahead of him. You look at the guys on your list ahead of him. Who are you going to drop down below him? I mean,
That's
Palmer
true.
has a great
That's
card.
true.
Breeze has a great card. Rivers has a great card.
But the bottom
So,
line, like we said, yeah. So I mean, even though he's number 9, it's a very strong card.
right.
It's a strong card.
And there's not a lot of differentiation in these lists between 4 and 9 or 4 and 10.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point this year. Absolutely. And then he's got Derek Carr winning the wing, so he'd be looking to trade if Dalton has a really good year. Could be a career year for him. Let's see. Eddie Lacy, 4.1 with 4 fumbles. Not that great, but okay, kind of linebacker off tackle.
Yeah, this was the fat Eddie Lacy last year, so his card's not as effective. But Charles Sims' card, now look at this, and Carlos Williams, those two guys are going to do some damage.
Charles Sims, pretty nice off tackle and run, not too bad. Not too bad, not as good as I thought. Pretty good short yardage linebacker, right, off tackle, right, maybe.
He's a good receiver.
Outstanding receiver. I liked him coming out of college as a receiver. Didn't get a chance to draft him, unfortunately. Carlos Williams, he got as a steal in like the 4th or 5th round, right?
Yeah.
We know they wouldn't do anything in the NFL right now.
Look at that.
But he's got a very strong card. See, he's a little chunky off tackle, but even the non-chunky numbers are pretty good.
But imagine you got
7+1, but everything else is pretty good.
You load up you load up Charles Sims and Carlos Williams in a pro set. They can both go deep. They both have excellent short pass receiver cards, and you got Andy Dalton who can hit it in all zones. So that's like a nice offense and a way to keep people off balance. And Gary Barnidge, who's got a great receiving card as a tight end. Baldwin's got a solid card. Bolden's okay. So it's a nice offense. He's going to do well.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this, Dennis, with the this is our first year in SOMIFA with no injuries, and I was thinking that this might help the West Coast teams more.
Well, we do have injuries in the regular season.
First year with no penalties, I meant to say, my bad. Which might help the West Coast teams more. You're not going to get into as many 1st and 15s or 2nd and 25s or whatever.
Right.
So, if you want to play West Coast, it might be helpful. Which, guys might be surprised to hear me say this, might make pass rush a little more important because that's the only way you can get a team into a negative situation down and distance-wise.
Good point.
So it'll be. I don't know if that's really going to bear out. I know some guys discussed that last year when we first discussed. I think getting rid of penalties. But yeah, this is a nice offense which doesn't have a lot of like big name star power, but very.
Let's look at that defense.
Yep,
I'm going to see that defense.
Got a couple 6-7s on the offensive line, by the way, with some solid pass blocking. Goes 4-4-5 on the defensive line. Goes 4-6-6-5 at linebacker. 5-5-5 short pass defenders. Free safety 4. 5-4-6-6.
Solid defense.
A solid defense. Jay's usually a little better than the defensive line. Jay, another guy who did not go all out for the year. Looked like he was making a lot of moves for the year, but looks like he did enough for the year, but held some in reserve because like SOMIFA coaches, they love to think long term. Almost all of us. And it's harder sometimes to get picks away from some of these guys. They don't want up, and there goes the buzzer. Hold on, call here. I'm gonna go Dalton. You know what? You see, when you do the ching, you should make your prediction first because when I hear the ching, that's when I start thinking of a record.
Okay, so I really like this team. I think it's going to be a solid playoff team. I'm going to go the only weakness is on defensive line. I'm going to go 11-5, knowing Jay's coaching, and we'll see how that turns out.
I'm going to go. I love the opponent returns. How about that? We should keep an eye on extra point kickers too. By the way, Dennis, this year it's going to be a problem for a lot of people, including me. I'm going to go 10-6, and I think there's a chance that they underachieve and only go like 9-7 or something. Or okay.
So you got 10-6, right?
I got 10-6 for Jay's Bengals. Now we have Zeb Strong, SOMIFA champion, I think 2 years ago, right?
Yes. Congratulations, Zeb.
That's right. Now Zeb's team is future-oriented this year. I think it's the first team we're encountering today that is completely future-oriented for this year. Is that true, Dennis?
That is correct.
Now Zeb made a big trade up for the number 1 to get Marcus Mariota, right?
Yeah, but even him, you're saying he's totally future-oriented. He's not going to throw in the towel. He's going to compete, and he's got some pieces, especially on that offensive line. He's got a lot of 7s there. get some dump offs. Cam Newton's got one of those funky cards. It's not rated very well, but you hit the right numbers. It's kind of can you have a chunky quarterback card? It's kind of like a chunky quarterback card where he hits those edges on the must run. He could do some things. So
you can do some things, but boy, this flat pass is brutal. Now you mentioned that Zeb's not going to roll over for anybody. We talked about this last year, and it seems to be true. Like Nathan and I ruined our draft position late in the season, as did Jay, with some meaningless victories. But SOMIFA, for whatever reason, pretty much every coach goes all out every game. Guys are 2-10 and busting ass to try to win, even though they're hurting their draft position. And there's so many good coaches. I don't know if it's the pride in the coaching quality, but guys try to win every game. They want those upsets in December. And and Zeb's going to be tough, and that's what makes it harder. Like if you have a mid-level team, and you're trying to get to 10-6, 11-5, and in the league, you're like, well, this guy's 3-9, I'm going to win this game. It doesn't always happen that way, especially in SOMIFA. So, although the penalties at least takes away one luck factor from that, but the guys will play to win. So that's another reason why I don't always predict the loftiest records in this league. Now, Cam, his flat pass is just awful. 6 and 7 incomplete overall. That's like Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Short pass 1, 3, 7, 10. He's got 16 units of must run. One thing that hurts him, 2 to 7, 6 yards or more. That's okay, but that's not a great must run card. And 8 is only +3, so that's not a great must run card. That hurts. 19 short pass wrong is nothing special. 2 long pass with the 15 must runs. For the long pass, it helps, I think, more. Because not getting all or nothing. 1, 4, 8, 9. This is not a very good quarterback card. Latavius Murray, I don't think has a very good running back card either. They passed a ton. 4-yard average 4.0. That's kind of ugly. All +1s, 2s, and 3s type of stuff. A little chunky. Fred Jackson has finally, I think, sailed off into the sunset. Offensive line's got a lot of 7s, but doesn't have a lot of run blocking. A 5 at right tackle, a 6 at left tackle. Blocking back 5-3 will help, I guess, a little bit. Jermaine Kearse, Julian Edelman, Luke Wilson, that's going to do a lot for you. That offense is not awful, but I think it's a little below Zeb's normal standards. Again, Zeb's focusing for the future. So you understand that. The offense, I think it'll be better than it looks at first glance and do some things at times, but overall will certainly be below average. Now, in the defense, you got 0, 6 through 5 on the line. It was a 3-4 and goes Tom Cook style, the old zero linebacker. Then goes 0, 0, 4, 4 pass defense, and he's got all 4s in the secondary except for right corner 5. So
yeah, that's rough.
This team is cruising for a bruising. Not awful. And we're out of time. You got to make your prediction, Dennis.
Okay, I'm going to go. Now, I've also added a little column here that tells us how we're doing. I'm +6 so far in my predictions, 6 games over 500. So I'm going to hammer Zeb a little bit. I'm going to say he's going 5. No, I'm going to say 4-12, just so I can get my records back in line. You are -2 already, so you don't have to worry about a big correction like I did.
I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, D4 could play outside linebackers of 44-6. You'll see him also. 0-6-5, let's see, 4-0-4-4. That offense, Zeb's a good coach. I'd like to pick 7 and 9 for this team, but there's a lot of pretty good records out there this year. I'm going to go 6 and 10 for this team, especially since I saw his kicker was only 2 to 7 from the 23 to 32. I'll go 6 and 10 for Zeb, who is a SOMIFA champion.
Yes.
And it will not be long before the team is back. For many, many years, Zeb had like a team that would head 11 games, was very solid. And then he kind of took a step up when he traded from McCown and had a really good team otherwise. But yeah, so that team won't be down for long.
I'm going to flip Bob's record and Zeb's record. So I'm going to change Bob from 5-11 to 4-12 and Zeb to 5-11. Because that makes more sense to me.
All right, I'm giving Zeb 6 and 10. Okay.
Denver.
Denver is Tony, right?
Ooh, look at that offensive line.
And Tony, last year was his first year in SOMIFA, went 8-8, did a good job, inherited Chris Beddick's team, took over Chris Beddick's team.
Now, that's a sexy offensive line. I'm sorry. I just can't stop staring at his offensive line. My goodness. 6'6", 5'5", with 2 7s?
Yeah, unfortunately, no left tackle 7. It kind of definitely makes it not as appetizing. But certainly the numbers look great. Now, the team was not that great on paper last year, but he did a great job with them. I think to get them 8-8. He feels like he came up short by missing the playoffs, but I don't think you and I predicted that to be a playoff team. Not that we're always right. I'm just saying we're actually pretty good with the predictions. Eli 62.6, 35 TDs, 2.3, 11 fumbles, 2 to 9 must run, 5 more. Eli's card, flat pass, not bad. Short pass, 6 and 14, not that good. Long pass, 6, 12.
Yeah, Eli's 22 on Ed's rankings. I bet he's about the same spot in you or somewhere in the 20s.
Ed's and I's are pretty similar, and mine aren't totally really ready for prime time, so to speak. But Eli's like 19th or something of mine. So not that great a card, really, in my opinion. Just the way it looks,
Yeah, you need a card like this you need to have a really stud running back to get a lot of guess wrong calls, and I don't think he has that with Alfred Morris.
No, Alfred Morris's card and season took a hit, of course, as his NFL stock has with Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas. You got Mike Gillisley and Duke Johnson.
Now Gillisley is under 50, right? Yeah, he's 47.
He's only at 47, so that's a problem.
Yeah, can't use him except on third downs and fourth downs and certain other situations.
Yeah, Duke Johnson 104. I thought he had a little linebacker off tackle action. He could play a little bit. Receiver.
You're going to be facing a lot of pass calls.
But overall, that quarterback halfback combination is not that strong.
But that's why the offensive line helps, because
the offensive line will help. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he'll help Alfred Morris get exceed his average just from the run blocking ratings.
Yeah, the receivers don't look the best either. Keenan Allen 67 catches, but a 10.8. All right, but he catches the ball on 9-15 deep. Still decent average, only 27 catches. Delaney Walker's outstanding, though.
Yes, he has a great tight end. He's one of the ones that we thought maybe should have got double team completions, but he didn't.
Then on the defense, you got a 3-4 team that goes
Khalil Mack. Look at that. Ooh.
Goes 6-5-5, 4-0, and now 4-0-5-4. 5-5-4-4. Not a bad defense. I mean, not awful.
No.
The defensive line is good against the run. The linebacking core isn't that great, but it's a 3-4. You get away with it a little bit. You got 2 good short pass defenders. You get a double team to help out this 4. But not an awful defense. I want to take a quick look at the specials on this team, because this is the type of team when the specials can make a big difference, I think.
Sure.
Like when you're not sure how you feel about a team. The opponent kicking hurts.
Yeah.
35, 38, whatever. And then I want to see how often does he get the ball deep?
Yeah.
He gets the ball deep about 20 times with 4 touchbacks. So that's not bad. The field goal kicker is solid. It's Gostkowski.
Yeah.
And Tony did a nice job last year, and he's really stepped up his game. Eli's not awful. Running game's not great. Offensive line good. I'm going to go. I'll go. It could be 6-10. It could be a hard look 6-10, but I'm going to give him 7-9.
Sounds good. I will go 7-9 too. There's nothing wrong with us having the same prediction. I think that you're right on the money there. He will need to coach them up to make the playoffs. It's possible. But it's not likely.
Yeah, absolutely. Detroit. That is Bradley Miller, right? The other Brad.
Yep.
We had Bradley Lane.
Yep.
Made the Super Bowl back in year 2. Bradley Miller, his 3rd year in the league. He's an SSFA champion, right, with the Houston Texans, I think?
I believe so, yes.
6-10, 8-8 in his first 2 SOMIFA seasons. So the team was ticking up, and he drafted Thomas Rawls. So maybe he'll have a good season this year. He's got Matthew Stafford at quarterback. Stafford 67.2, 32 Ds, 2.22.
Now he's another one that he may not look as effective in the NFL, but his strat cards are dynamite.
Well, I think he set the bar so high with that great season he had early in his career, and then a couple of seasons that weren't that great that made people go, eh.
He's one of the few.
But second half of last season, he had a very good second half. The offense really picked up under Jim Bob Cooter.
And he can go deep. He's one of the few that can go deep pretty effectively.
Yeah, he's got a great flat pass call, which is virtually maxed. It is maxed, and he's got 14, 18. His short pass wrong is killing these guys. They don't want you to throw a short pass wrong.
No.
Like the short pass, they only want you to use it on 3rd and 10. He's got 14, 18 short pass with 3 must run, but it's a good must run. Pretty good anyway. Okay, anyway. He goes.
I don't remember Stafford being such a runner, but look at that end run column. Is that new? I don't remember Stafford having 15 and 17 like that ever before or anything.
I don't remember having everyone even on his card.
Right.
But Stafford's fairly mobile if you watch him. He doesn't run a lot, but when he runs, he does okay. His average is only 3.6, but he does have 2 to 8.5 yards more. He uses a decent must run. We go 6'11" on the bomb. Okay, so it's still only 6, even though it's out of 9, it's still only 6, right?
Right.
This is a pretty solid looking quarterback card, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I would guess like 10,
top 10
to 15, 10 to 15, something like that.
I have the number 6 in mind.
Oh, 6. Yeah, right. It has 6. You're right. I'm sorry.
What does that have?
6 also. So okay. Yeah, top 10 card for sure.
Now, of course, you got a good quarterback. You need a good running back card. So Thomas Rawls with a 5.6 average, a lot of short gains, plus 8s and stuff. Besides that,
let me ask you a quick question. Huh? Where does a guy like? Well, I'm having a draft tomorrow. It's Frozen Tundra. Where does a guy like Rawls, who's been hurt and gone off to a slow start, what do you think that'll do to his draft spot tomorrow? Just out of curiosity, will he go? He's been going typically somewhere in the 10 to 15 range.
Well, look, in a vacuum, it has to hurt his draft stock because if you drafted him 3 or 4 weeks ago, you didn't know that he's going to be injured and off to a very terrible start, and he might not even play this week. Pete Carroll, who's Mr. Optimism about everything, okay, pretty much, said, well, we'll see how it goes with Thomas this Sunday, which for him is almost like saying, all right, he's not going to play,
Right.
So in a vacuum, it has to hurt his draft stock. Having said that, I'm not sure if he's gone below 13 in any leagues, and he has a good enough card for someone who needs a running back for you to draft. But so it's hard for me to say that. I mean, it's hard for me to say. I don't know what kind of GMs in that league. Blah 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 blah.
How about somebody who's hurt and out for the year? He was going like 15, 16, 17.
Well, 15 to 25, but he's not out for the year. He's on injured reserve, but injured reserve now you can come back after 8 weeks. But it's going to hurt Abdullah worse because he doesn't have the car that Thomas Rawls has.
Right.
So exactly. If you're in a 2014 league, Abdullah might be like a late 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick in some leagues.
I can't imagine him going that low. I would say 2nd round at worst case scenario for Abdullah.
Okay. Thomas Rawls, I think he'll. It depends on the league, but I would bet 21 to 31.
Okay, we'll find out what happens.
You're asking me in a vacuum. You're asking me in a vacuum. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the league. I don't know the teams.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, some guys drafting 13. He's got a great team for the year. He's a running back. He might take Thomas Rawls.
Exactly. That's the curious thing about Strat. Sometimes things just work the way they do because of a need more so than.
Anyway,
it's a game. We're trying to win.
Yeah, Rawls a very solid, non-chunky guess wrong card. The linebacker right's pretty nice, even though 680 yards looks pretty good. The off tackle right, so you can definitely hurt Thomas with the guess right calls. The receiving card not that great. He's got, I think, Ronnie Hillman because I think Joseph Randall had under 50, didn't he?
Yeah, he's not going to be usable. And Arian Foster has a horrible
out of the way. So Ronnie Hillman's the other back, 4.2. I don't think his card is that great, but not awful.
Right.
He's got that type of card that I said, Brad could use as a team, not that great, but if you're gonna guess wrong and you have a good line, you could do okay with a card like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Bring him in every game at the end of the half and try to hit that plus 72 on 12. That's what I would do. So
yeah, but also he's got that. You can bring him for a few carries and he can help you a little bit as your backup running back.
Yeah.
You got Devontae Parker, Jordan Matthews, Ladarius Green. So not a great receiving core. If I go blocking back, it's probably more like it. Cameron Brate. You got 6'7" to the left side, 4s on the right side. So you got Stafford, Rawls. Interesting. Okay, interesting offense. I wish you had a little bit of receiving core. Make it more dangerous when people want to get run against Rawls. 3-4 defense goes 6-6-4. I mean, really, the way these short pass wrong cards are, if your guys only got 18 and 19 short pass wrong units, I mean, definitely attack that flat pass. A flat pass wrong is a really good play.
Yeah.
So I nothing wrong with that. Especially when you got shaky receivers down the field. So, but you can't live there because guys will sit on it. 3-4. Defense goes 6-5-4 with Gino playing at 3-4.
Nice.
Goes 6-5-4, 5-0-4-4. Let's say the weak linebacking cores in a 3-4 don't concern me like that much, really.
Right.
6-5-4.
Especially with his split ratings. You look at, he's got a 0 there. Yeah, but he's 5 against the run, so he can stuff him in there in the nose tackle zone.
There's something. Yeah, and we're getting a call in from Saskatchewan.
We went a little bit off track with the Rawls talk, so I'm gonna have to cut.
Rawls is worth talking. So you got to give your prediction, Dennis.
Yes. So my prediction is.
Since I make Dennis predict at the ding.
Yes.
That's when I check the special teams, giving me an advantage.
Nice. Okay. I'm going 8-8.
You're going to go 8-8. You're going to go 8-8, huh? Bradley Miller. Well, I know he's a pretty good coach. I don't like. He's got a lot of pass rush defense too. That much.
Yeah, he does.
10-11-7. They got a 12 over here. 6-5-4.
I like the team. I just I don't know. I guess maybe I should.
Something missing, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to ding the team, Dennis. I'm going to say frustrating if Brad's going to underachieve. He's going to wonder what the hell's going on. Maybe that's too harsh. I'm going to go 7-9. No, I'm going to go 8. I'm going to go 8. I can say 8,
you know what?
9-7.
I'm going to go 9-7. I'm going to change my mind.
I'm thinking 9-7 now. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 9-7. I don't like the weak receivers. Maybe put too much stock in that. But Brad's earned his stripes.
Yes, he has. You're right.
And I can't ding him too hard.
You reminded me of his coaching prowess, and that I think that's going to get him into the playoffs.
I would 9-7 for Detroit. I think I have everybody in the middle of the pack this year. Now Green Bay, is this Mr. Randy Leeper?
No, Ron Dickinson.
Oh, that's right. Randy's only SFA, right?
Yeah, I think he's on the waiting list, possibly, maybe.
Okay. I don't think so. I think he may have LOL'd out. I don't remember.
Oh.
I looked at the waiting list after we had some interesting moves coming there this offseason. But this is Ron Dickinson, who's a tremendous coach, a defensive guru, who, by the way, did not pass rush like a madman. Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback. What's Tannehill doing this year, Dennis? Let's see. 10 fumbles. That's what he's doing.
Not a great card compared to his pass cards, but not bad.
5 pass, pretty good. See, I hate when you get these short pass at 13 short pass, right? Ugh.
Right.
He's got 4 must run units, 286 yards or more. It's not too bad. And look at this. Guess wrong. This guy completed 62% of his passes on a team that threw the ball primarily. He has 1, 3, 6, 12. He has 15. He has 15 short pass throwing units.
Yeah, I played him.
That is comically poor.
Yeah. It's rough when you get your opponent to call run and then you throw it and land on a 5 or a 6 and it's incomplete. It drives you nuts.
Well, more than half the column is
blanks.
More than half the column is blanks. I have him buried. Okay, I have him at number
19,
17. 17. Look at the first 2 columns are. But that's worse than anybody above him by far. No one else is going under 17. And then he's got 5. He's got 5-10 in the bomb, so long pass wrong is not too bad. So
right,
so that helps, I guess. The 10 fumbles aren't too good looking. You got Matt, but Ron, I think, is also focusing for the future with this team. You got Matt Ford. He has been for a while. They've been building. You got Matt Ford tape 4-1. I don't think it's one of his stronger cards.
He can catch, I think, as always.
He can always catch. We know that. So that's kind of an air card.
Good pass blocking.
Can these other guys do anything?
No, I don't think so. Chris Thompson's not bad. He's got under 50, so you can't really use him. Carlos Hyde, I think he's a year away. He's going to be really good this year, maybe, but that year he's only 4.1. What does his card look like? No, that's not bad. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. How many carries?
115.
Yeah, so those 2 guys will be his 1-2 punch. Yeah, that's not bad. And we know Ron will coach the defense. Let's look at that defense.
Well, also we've got Mike Evans, who presumably is pretty good. Kenny Britt's probably good deep, right?
Yep, hoping for a bounce back from Mike Wallace.
12-18, okay.
Yeah.
Richard Rodgers doesn't that good. Oh, he's got Zach Miller. He's got a good card, as you know, Dennis.
Yeah, he should actually start Zach Miller.
He's on a block. Well, this is a blocking back formation, so
okay.
He could be Miller and Owen Daniels a tight end. Unless Rodgers worse than I'm thinking. Rodgers had 58 catches. Where was I when he caught 58 passes? Okay. Offensive line, only 2 5s and tackles, 4s elsewhere. A left guard, 7. It's kind of not that good offensive line. You know, you have a mediocre team. You hope the offensive line can elevate you.
So he's one of
the defense goes
one of the teams playing a 4-3.
Yep, which he always does. Him and Jay play 4-3, and Ron Martin, I think, usually does too. And they'll cheat you up with it. 5-5-5-4. The defensive line goes 4-4-4 at linebacker. I hate 4-3s at weak linebacking. You know that, Dennis, because I like to.
Yeah, and he's got 6 4s on defense.
And then 5-4 corner, 4-5 is safety. He's going future, and Dennis realizes not much left to talk about on the team, so he hits the dinger. Pretty good return game. All right, Dennis.
I predict 8-8 for this team. I think it would normally finish lower than that, but because of Ron's coaching, he'll get them to 500.
Well, that's I was going to say in lesser hands, 8-8 would be optimistic. I think there's no running game. Tannehill's kind of flat pass only. The offensive line doesn't really help the lack of a running game. Defense can be hit there. It's not an awful team. When I think of Ron as a coach, he's an excellent coach. I should pick 7-9. Every time I pick a good coach to go less than 7-9, he never does. All right, I'll go 7-9. I wanted to go 6-10, but I'm learning my lesson. You cannot pick these good coaches with only 4, 5, 6 games. They just never do. Almost never happens.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll pick Ron to go 7-9, and move on to half man, half Mankiewicz. Correct?
Yes.
Paul, who is a multi-time SOMIFA champion, he has won 2 SOMIFA Super Bowls, and last year was his first year. He won 2 and he lost the 3rd. And last year was his first year missing the playoffs in 11 years, Dennis.
Amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 seasons of double-digit wins in a row for half Mankiewicz.
Not only was it his first season, it was his first losing season in league history. He had not. This is his first losing season after 12 seasons of 8-8 or better. This is in a fall keeper league, so you got to know what you're doing with the draft. Hello, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And half man, half Mankiewicz is the master of all.
Houston, hello. You got to know what you're doing, and it's Houston.
And of course, I may point out, like I do every year, which Paul's probably tired of hearing, that a decline in his success was corresponded to the high drafting of questionable quarterbacks like Blaine Gabbert and Geno Smith.
Where's my laugh track hat?
Where Drew now 10 seconds later, okay. Where meanwhile Drew Brees is chugging along like, all right, great, I've got like 3 good-looking backups, but how about some guys to help me play?
Yeah, but those guys, if you take and you hit on one of those quarterbacks, you can trade. But Paul doesn't do this. He holds him and then winds up releasing him. But it's still not. It's not usually a bad bet to take a quarterback in the first round if it's that kind of quality, even with a guy like Brees, because you can trade him off for assets. 1 year I took Mark Sanchez and traded him for Tom Bahali and some other high pass rusher. I can't remember somebody else on the line. But you got to do that. You got to do that.
You do it like with 3 quarterbacks over 3 years, and none of them pan out. Look, quarterback is shaky. I mean, you have to like the quarterback. I would say, look, Paul's a great GM, and Paul is funny. He doesn't mind me criticizing him because he just laughs it off because he's more successful than I am, so he doesn't care. But Paul's a great GM, but you do that with one guy. You have one guy, and then how about just drafting normal players like he normally does, and he drafts great, and then you have like extra 2 or 3 superstars around Drew Brees.
Yeah, absolutely.
And instead you're trying to hit the lotteries. You can trade a guy for 1 and a 2 or whatever. I don't know. Anyway. Let's look. Drew Brees got a great flat pass guard as always. Even Drew Brees got a short best guard is not as good as you'd expect. 4'10", 14, 15, right? That's not bad. 4'10", 15, and... I think you
talked about this. I think you talked about this in the forum that a lot of this has to do with or corresponds with the flats as runs rule. It seems Strat's really trying to shift the focus to the flat pass zone, and I'm not sure I like that.
Yeah. Well, you might not like it as a Strat coach, but it makes sense from if they're trying to emulate the NFL. And I'm just off the naked eye, it seems like a lot of the short pass wrong cards aren't as good as usual, but but it's probably. They're probably not that different than last year. Maybe it's just something I'm noticing. or maybe there has been a gradual shift, and this is the first trade notice, and I have no idea. So someone with more time in their hands might want to investigate how the short pass run cards have looked in recent years.
Okay, enough with threes. Let's look at the running backs. Let's look at Paul's running backs.
He's got 5 deep, which is as good as you get, and very low picks, which is very helpful. Okay.
Yes, but look at these backs.
Okay.
He's going to be able to start Jonathan Stewart and Mike Tolbert in a pro set, and those guys
he's got Le'Veon Bell as number 1 in this coach file.
Yeah, but he told me Bell is his third option. He's going to use Bell after the other guys run out of carries. So look at
it's a pretty nice third option. Look at Bell's got a solid card.
Yeah, he does.
I know the other guys are real good, and Bell also brings he also brings a receiving element that is not as good as I thought. The yardage is a little weak there on the flat pass for him.
Well, he's got to be better.
That's a solid card. And most of us would be really happy with Le'Veon Bell, but like you mentioned, Paul is sitting in the catbird seat as he's got numerous good backs. Jonathan Stewart, who always gets good cards.
Look at that.
That off tackle wrong is very, very strong. That's what you're going to run him.
Marshawn Lynch-esque, I should say. And then Tolbert for a fullback.
Yeah, Tolbert only has 62 carries, but linebacker off tackle is very strong.
Very strong. That's an understatement. Look at that thing.
Well, there's no long gains on it, so
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But it's very strong. That's an understatement. It's very strong.
Yeah, but you said that very strong. It's that for a fullback in this set. Come on, that's
all right.
Crazy.
Yeah, for a fullback. Well, Tolbert's card is excellent. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying it's not excellent.
Okay, thank you. Excellent's what I wanted to hear.
But very strong, very, very strong is good. I just said it was. The problem is I didn't say it with a lot of enthusiasm. I just said it's very strong.
Yes.
If I said it's very strong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I gotcha.
How'd you like to line up against Paul? I'd like to line up against Paul. First you go to the 1. He's got Bell, Tolbert, and Stewart in the game.
Not too bad.
Tolbert can always catch short passes as he makes even Jonathan Grimes' card is not awful. I thought I'd picking that up one time, but he's got the ability to catch passes.
And check out
Tolbert's a 6.
And Cal Juszczyk has like a nice receiving card. Look at his receiving card, the fullback. So when he goes into a blocking back set, and he has Stewart in there or Bell in there, look at that. Guy's a fullback that can go deep. So this guy's got the most talented fullback tandem in the league.
When he's not past block 7s, he's catching long passes.
Exactly. Not too shabby.
I know. That's pretty good. That is quite a diverse skill set right there. And then Paul's great receivers. He never got rid of Brandon Marshall. Now he's back. He's got Brandon Marshall, Brandon Cooks, and Jason Witten. I mean, hello.
Right. We need another Brandon in there. He's got another Brandon in the league. Brandon Coleman. Draft Brandon Coleman.
Yeah. He's a tight end. He's Brandon Tate. He's a tight end named Brandon. Brandon Myers was a tight end.
There you go. Yeah, Jason Myers. But Brandon. Oh no, Jason Myers is a kicker. Brandon Myers might be. Yeah, you're right. He was a tight end.
Yeah. Oakland Raiders. Okay. He's got Jared Cook too. So he's got Max Williams as a backup. So this offense now he's only got 1-7. It's at center, but he's got 3 5s at the middle. So he's going to get that linebacker game going, which is a good game to get. As he got tackle 4s. And the defense, as I'm being told to move on to the defense, goes 4-5-6.
Goodness gracious.
5-4-5-4, 4-4-5-4.
Wow.
What are you goodness gracious about?
The pass rush, you got Quan Short as a nose tackle with an asterisk.
That's good.
Fletcher Cox 6'9", Pernell McPhee 6'11", Wesley Woodyard has got a 10 pass rush, and Julius Peppers is a 4-4-12. My goodness, that's a huge bunch of high double-digit numbers coming after your quarterback.
Yeah, only 2 of those linebackers can actually go up there. But Paul's a very flexible coach, which I think is always a sign of a good coach, not a guy who has to play one way.
But that's what you want. If you're going to have 3 4s in the secondary, which he has, and Cox, Jarrett, and Chancellor, you're going to be able to cover that up with the pass rush.
Yes, to some extent. But if you have a weak secondary, you definitely want a good pass rush, and he has a corner 5, so he can even Look, Paul is an excellent coach. Paul's one of the very best coaches out there. I think he's in my top 3 or 4. I'm sure. Opponents I wouldn't want to face, and probably my top 2 or 3. So look, Paul's going to double your left corner at times. He's going to drop an inside linebacker back to double team to tight end at times. He's going to blitz heavily at times. He's going to guess run at times. He's going to mix it up in a way that seems to be effective, and he's good at it. So
prediction
what's
time.
your prediction, Dennis?
I'm going to go 12-4 for this crew. Maybe a little optimistic.
You're going 12-4. I always short sell the pass rush, but I never short sell half man, half Mankiewicz, 2 to 10 extra points for Vinatieri. I like that he's got some pass defense sprinkled in with the blitzing there at linebacker. Drew Brees doesn't turn it over. Drew Brees, see, Paul with that kind of offense. I'll go 12-4 as well. I was going to go 13-3. I'll go 12-4 as well.
All right, on to Indy.
12-4 as well, and the best team we've seen so far.
Yeah, I agree.
Indianapolis, also because of the coach. When you talk about Paul.
Yep.
This is Jeff Wembley Stadium. What is it?
Jeff Wendlet.
Okay. He's got Phillip Rivers a quarterback. He's got a very good card. Better than Eli Manning's card. Take that, Bob Motley and the Giant fans. 66% with 2 maxed out flat pass. It was even Phillip Rivers. Snake guys must run 2 to 7, 6 or more, but 14 short pass. At least he gets a good wrong.
Yeah, short pass wrong is nice.
14, 20, 22, 23. Okay, I'd like to get one more unit on the right if we can squeeze that out. But okay, 4, 7, 10, 14, 23, and 5, 12 deep. So he's got a very nice card. You want to throw flats and then take your shots downfield if you have any kind of running game and the interceptions are low. So that's nice. Got a good future running game with David Johnson. But for the year, his card, I think, is only okay, and the fumbles are high. Not a bad card. Not a bad card. You could do some work with that great receiving card.
Yeah, but you got to be happy. You got to be happy of getting a guy like that because he, you drafted him high. He's looked good so far in the season, and I think that's. You don't want to be getting one of these guys and then have him hurt for the rest of the year or for going injured reserve like Amir Abdullah. You know what I mean? Like, so you're excited about your future with David Johnson.
Yes, of course. But you know me, guys. Even when I love these guys, and I absolutely love David Johnson, it's like until they do it, they haven't done it. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of my view. I think like last year, if you remember, after about 5 or 6 games, you were ecstatic about Devonta Freeman. You're like, oh man, you got Devonta Freeman. I was like, Dennis,
calm down to a panic.
I was like, yeah, his stats look great now. Let's wait and see. You have a couple of 18 for 40 games in the second half of the season. Sure enough, he had double like a 4.1 average. So and he's all right, but he's not great. Like look like he's going to be after 5 or 6 games.
Absolutely.
On the other hand, we all love him coming in, so there's more reason to be excited about him, I think. So, I had forgotten this was Jeff Wembley. I thought it was Jeff Smith. Otherwise, I was going to offer a trade for that pick, like before trading, like I was going to discuss it before trading opened and then make an offer when trading opened. And if I realized it was Jeff Wembley, I would have made an offer, and I think he would have accepted it. And I would then have had David Johnson, which would have been nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so I blew that.
It's okay.
So anyway, Lamar Miller, not really, especially when I ended up. It would have involved Hopkins. So I ended up trading for something not that good. So it's not okay, but you got to deal with it. Lamar Miller's card kind of sucks. Off tackle and run not bad. You can run and run wrong if someone's going to give it to you all day. But boy, when you hit that right, is it going to be ugly? And even the wrong is chunky. But if it's wrong all day, literally all day, I guess the everyone's okay. I don't know. That's what you think.
Yeah, and there's a lot of coaches that still coach like that. Even in SOMIFA, you get guys that'll just call pass. So when that happens, just keep hammering him outside.
One of the greatest screw jobs in Strat in recent years. You got Deion Lewis only had 49 carries. If you have one more carry, at least you can take advantage of some of the off tackle and run wrong, which is weird. Plus 11, plus 12. I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. You can use him when you have an injury. We still have injuries in the regular season, so he'll get some action then. But then again, if you have David Johnson and Lamar Miller, why do you even care about Deion Lewis? Just stick with the other guys.
Well, he can catch really well, and no one's going to get run against him or whatever. Malcolm Floyd, he's got all kinds of yardage here. Wow. But nice. A lot of blanks as well. And Deshaun Jackson also is always a big average guy. He's maxed out deep.
So that's probably those are two good reasons, along with Kelsey, why you're going to see a lot of pass calls, and you're going to be able to run Lamar Miller and run Guest wrong all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And he's got Patrick DeMarco, Jermaine Gresham blocking back types. He got a 5'7" left tackle. The rest of the offensive line is not that great. Passing game is dangerous. Going to see more run calls. Wish had a little bit of run blocking line. Flat pass should be dangerous. You got David Johnson in there. Interesting. I think Gresham is a little bit of a receiver than DeMarco possibly.
Let's take a look at the defense, because I'm getting ready to ding it if we don't move on. It's already 3:42, so it's getting late.
Yes, it gets late early around here. The defense goes 4-5-5. That was a great deal you made to get Navarro Bowman, by the way. Anyway,
hey, we'll talk about that on my team, because he did improve his line. He got Jahari Evans to give him a 7 pass blocker. So Linval Joseph's a stud on Minnesota defense. What kind of effect do you think San Francisco having a lousy team and a lousy defense will have on somebody like Navarro Bowman?
Usually guys like the Bowman, it doesn't matter what the team looks like.
Yeah.
Anyway, like you always had the bad, like Roger Worley on the Cardinals in the 70s was always a corner 6. And the rest of the defense was all 0s and 4s.
Yeah.
So, the
other thing I'm worried about with him, if we want to talk about it, is his, that was a gruesome injury he had. And you never know when somebody like that in this day and age will just walk away and say, thank you very much. I'm done playing. So there are some concerns. There are some concerns.
Yeah, I'm sure you hesitated and showed a lot of reluctance in trading a 4-3 non-pass rushing defensive tackle for Navarro Bowman.
That would traded Linval Joseph. What are you talking about? Linval Joseph's a 6'1".
A 4-3 non-pass rushing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Rushing.
I thought you were saying he's rated 4-3. No, but he's already got 2 sacks this year, so this is going to be his year. He turns into Ndamukong Suh, and you can use that guy quite effectively as a nose tackle in this league. Which I think is Jeff running a 4-3 or a 3-4? I think he's running a 3-4.
Yes, he's running a 3-4 as we run the clock down, talking about the Navarro Bowman trade. He goes 4-5-5 with the defensive line. He goes 5-6-5-6 at the linebacker. Playing the good Christian Jones to the inside. He won't be doing that next year.
I wanted Bobby Wagner, by the way, but I said no. That's gonna get me involved with the TRC if I try to go after him again.
Dennis. Only Dennis has the testicles to make I would say, a very, very good deal for Navarro Bowman, and then on air complain that he wasn't able to get Bobby Wagner. It's like, it's like, yeah,
I started off.
I was able to trade for Khalil Mack, but I really wanted J.J. Watt. I mean, what's going on?
Well, we'll see.
I'm sorry that you had to settle for Navarro Bowman for Linval Joseph. And Jahari Evans, who's a backup now in the Saints?
No, he started 2 games. He's the starter still. I don't know why you think he's a backup.
How old is he?
Sorry, we got to go to the predictions.
Yeah, okay. He's got 1-6. He's got 1-6. How old is Evans? 41? He's got 1-6. Okay, he's got 1-6. He'll be 0 next year. He's got a corner. He's got a Patrick Peterson at a corner 6. The rest of the defense 4s. I love the linebackers. I don't like the lack of pass rush. Look, even though I'm not a guy who's like, let's heavily get the pass rush going. If you don't have any pass rush, the dump off kills you.
And I would switch those 2 inside linebackers. I like when you have 2 6s, put them next to each other, so then you can flip the other Christian Jones out there to cover for Josh Bynes. So,
and leave Bobby by himself.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of guys have a stronger left side of their offensive line, especially if they play blocking back. So you want the 6 run rating on the right hand side. So that's good advice. I would switch that too if I could. If I was him, why don't you email him, Dennis? Tell him to switch it.
I'll tell him.
Actually, don't. I think he's on my schedule, so I might need to run that way.
What do you think for this team? I
gotta go first.
Yeah, you go first this time.
I love the linebackers. You got to bring guys up. The bad secondary, lack of pass rush is a bad combination. Rivers is real good. I think Jeff's a pretty decent coach. Got to take a look at the specials. Dave Johnson got to return.
And despite you hating it, that trade actually helps him because he would have had either he was going to play a 4 nose tackle. You much rather have a 5 nose tackle there if you're playing a 3-4 with those linebackers.
It helps him to trade the opponent for the long goal. Prediction time. Phillip Rivers got these weird running backs. No, I'm going to give 9-7.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to. 9-7. I think it's a playoff team.
But at least a mini playoff team. I think we're gonna have like 16 teams in the mini playoffs this year. Everyone's gonna be in. Kansas City Chefs. That's Lawrence, right?
Yeah, and just to give you a heads up, you are 2 games over 500, and I am 8 games over 500.
All right, which yes.
Well, I'm going to take it out on Wayne Unruh. I'm going to just have him going 0-16 just to balance my ledger. Sorry, Wayne.
Well, yeah, and then the bad any team that's a bad team is an opportunity for us to save some time if we can in our show. We got the Kansas City Chefs. Lawrence, they got Jameis Winston, the quarterback, who doesn't for a rookie, but again, it's a caveat for a rookie. Decent must running. So not a very good card either. The flat pass hurts you. See, anytime you have these really bad flat pass cards, it really hurts you. I feel like because
let's take a quick look at the defense. We can make up time on these next 2 teams.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Darren McFadden, John Q. I don't give the guy short shrift. He's been waiting for an hour to hear his team talked about.
You're right.
Now he's got 2, all-pro receivers. Odell Beckham, and then of course the great Willie Snead.
Willie Snead is awesome.
Who we all know is just one of my favorite players. Right, Dennis?
Willie Snead, I'm telling you, he knows how to get open. He doesn't have those measurables, this speed, but he knows how to get open. He has great hands.
I really haven't seen him open. I've seen Breeze threading the needle. Anyway,
he gets enough
both
separation.
those guys are playing great right now. My only hope is that they fall apart, and I'm justified. So
even when you're trying to apologize for bashing him, you bash him.
That's true. You're learning. You lose to the left track. You set it up, then you go for it. So he's got famous Jameis. He's got Darren McFadden, who's not bad. Artist Payne, not too bad. A short yardage guy. Beckham, great card. Snead, good card. Will Ty's card I like a lot.
Famous Jameis is bad. It's not a good card for him. He's going to be great.
I think Will Ty's going to be a good team. I was eyeing him. The offensive line hurts. The run blocking on the inside hurts. That's for sure. Defensively, but again, this is a rebuilding team, I believe. Defensively, 0-5-5, 4-4-4-4, 4-0-4-5. So this team's not going to do very well. Got the good receivers. McFadden can do little things. It's not awful in terms of being like just a totally bad team. I'll go 5-11.
I will go 3-13. I got to start being a little hard on these bad teams just to balance my books.
All right, well, that's the second real bad team we've seen so far, really.
Yeah.
We love L.A. The Rams relocating. Wayne's selling out, going for the money in L.A. instead of staying loyal to the people of St. Louis. That was Dennis doing that, Wayne, not me, so you can blame him.
Hey, it's a new stadium. He's got to move.
He's got Blake Bortles at quarterback with a 6.0. He's off to a slow start this year. Great end run guard, 2-7 plus 6 or more. Very nice flat pass card. Kind of a weird card for Bortles. 5, 9, 11 with good must run. So like 13 and a half, sort of.
If Tony's offensive line, it gave me a little bit of excitement there. Wayne's offensive line, that's just not exciting at all. Unfortunately, Wayne's got a really rough offensive line. Look at that. That is got to be the worst offensive line I've seen in the modern era.
The line could use some work, Dennis.
Yes. Although it would probably be an upgrade for the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL this year.
That's how you do it, Dennis. You set it up. You're ready with the laugh. I like it. Okay. The Rashad Jennings may have some trouble finding some running room.
He's going to have trouble anyway.
Yeah, Bortles is not bad. I don't know where he comes in my ranking, but it's not bad. He's got good receiving targets with Michael Floyd, Charles Clay, and, of course, the double-team receiving Ted Ginn Jr. in the bomb. And Wayne's an excellent coach. But, boy, that offensive line is brutal.
It is.
And it doesn't have good running cards either.
No.
I'll tell you one thing. Blake Bortles will get some end run wrong because no one gets to run too much against this team.
Right.
Now, the 4-3 defense goes 4-5-5-5, 6-4-4,
defense
5-0-4-4.
Yeah, he's going to have to win some close, low-scoring games, and he can do that with his coaching and that defense.
I think, unfortunately, he's going to have to lose many games that may be low-scoring for his team. I don't know.
Right,
we'll see.
Right.
But
absolutely.
Wayne's an excellent coach, but I see trouble on the horizon with his team. I don't like a 4-3 weak linebackers. If he wants to bring the safety up, he's going to have problems in the secondary. So I'm going to ding this team hard, Dennis.
Okay.
Wayne's a good coach. I'm going to go
4-12. I think
I'm going to go 3-13.
I think he could be 3-13, but he could be 2-14. But Wayne's coaching will win him a couple games that he shouldn't win.
I want to pick 5-11, but I just feel like the team is not good. And he's overachieved with some teams, but he also has had some teams that didn't do that well when they were bad.
Right.
And he had a lot of injuries with this team and some bad developments. There's still a lot of young talent on that team. You might be surprised that roster next year ends up being pretty good.
Yeah.
He just needs Bortles to have at least a decent year.
And if you're going to have a really weak point, it's not a bad idea to have that on the offensive line because you can shore that up in one draft. You take a guy late 1, early 2, depending on what trade you make. You can get a solid 10-year guard in that range, and you can get another, like a 4-4 type or 5-4 type later on in the 3rd and 4th round. So you can shore that position up in one draft if you really focus on it.
You can also
make trades for a couple old guys.
You can also easily make trades for 1-year guys.
Right.
Short-term guys, whatever, at a lot of those positions.
Yeah.
All right. Miami Dolphins. This is Dan. One of the more interesting teams to talk about this year. Dan Morin's a very good head coach. He's in SSFA. He's now in Autumn Wind. He's been in Battle Royale, which is where I've come to know him most. And he's in SOMIFA as well. I've only 2 seasons there, though. And I only played 4 games in my first year. So he took Renee's team, which had Teddy Bridgewater and very little else. Teddy Bridgewater, Chris Ivory, and very little else. And Dan went all out, trading for guys to help the team on the field now, but a lot of whom also definitely have some gas in the tank. Didn't trade for a bunch of 32-year-olds.
He followed that same kind of thing that the Cleveland Browns did when they traded away their first-round pick, which was the 2nd pick overall, and kept trading down. He took that number 1 overall pick and moved that off to somebody who was really wanting Marcus Mariota, Zeb Strong, and he turned that into 2 stud starters on the defense, and Calais Campbell, Richard Sherman. He got another number 1 pick and a number 3 pick. So, and then he just kept making trades. Most of us would have looked at that team that he took over and says, "Oh, I'll just rebuild and kind of go that route and take care of my quarterback right away." Instead, he went the opposite direction and kept making trades, grabbing veterans, trading away picks, and the next thing you know, he's got a very strong team with very few holes on it.
Now he has traded away everything next year, except for his 1 and his 5, pretty much.
Right.
Okay. To see what this team looks like right now. And it's not a now only team, although with Bridgewater not having a card next year, that certainly is going to hurt. But there are 1-year quarterbacks often available nowadays. So let's see what the final product looks like here. Quarterback who is very little turnover, okay, which we all like. But really good. Rest of the card, really not that good. He's again the short pass wrong. When you under 18 short pass wrong, especially under 17, that's really really bad.
Right.
So he's got 5-8. He's got 11, 16 short pass wrong, but he's got that must run, gives them maybe another 3 units, maybe, which makes the short pass right much better, which is, of course, much more important.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I was going to say it's Tannehill-esque. This is that same range where Tannehill would wind up in the 16, 17, 18, 19 range for your quarterbacks. And that's one of the flaws he has is a short pass right is just not there. Sure. The long pass right is non-existent.
Long pass wrong. And the must run helps a little bit, but I know what you're saying. There's only 2 completions. Either must run is all right, but not great.
Right.
So it's pretty solid. But
so you really need a good running back to make this kind of card work.
I feel like the long pass wrong is a bigger problem than the short pass right because the long pass wrong has only got 8 units on it. And if guys are going to get run on you, ideally you like to think, well, I'm going to punish him with a bomb every now and then.
Right.
That'll be harder to do with Bridgewater, although look, Dan's a strong coach, and I think he likes to go up top, but it might be harder to do with Bridgewater. But now Teddy can nickel dime with the flat pass. He's got a great flat pass card. So if you have a strong running game, this card can work in a strong defense. I know he made a lot of his trades to help the defense. Now, the running game here, I don't know. I mean, Chris Ivory's card, 247 carries, 4 fumbles. You got to look at the off tackle wrong is nice. That's a nice column. I like that column.
Yeah.
The linebook wrong is pretty decent, but the guess right column not that great. So I think you're gonna have to call some run against Ivory, and he's gonna have to throw flat passes to get you.
Yeah.
With Bridgewater, but that combination, Bridgewater Ivory, doesn't thrill me. What do you think about the combination?
I agree. I do like that Ivory card, but you're right. There's certain columns that just don't perform like you would like to see. You'd rather have that plus 32 and run wrong on 11, spread out with like a short gain on 7 and play it that way.
You're not going to run him and run. This is a horrible column.
Right. So you can't do that.
He's going to run him. Look, the off tackle wrong is a very strong column.
Yeah.
So that's where he wants to live. And the line book wrong isn't too bad.
Yeah, when you get in third and short situations, though, you need 2 or 3 yards on a guest drive run. He's not going to make it. More often than not, he's going to miss, which is tough. That's not the kind of runner you remember him being. So
yeah, but sometimes the perception and reality are different.
Absolutely, sure.
So there's a 20 units of no yard or less with 2 of them, with 5 and 7 being -2 on the off tackle, but it's still a good wrong column now. Receiving targets are kind of flat passy. Jarvis Landry, of course,
which fits with Bridgewater.
Pierre Garcon. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Normally don't like that, but in this case, it actually might work better because you can do off tackle wrong with Ivory and flat pass with Bridgewater and have success with that. Absolutely.
Right.
He's got a strong left side of the offensive line.
Zeb missed an opportunity to trade him Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman would fit in perfectly with this offense.
Well, he's already got Landry and Garcon, so I don't know where Edelman's going to play. You know what I'm saying? So
slot receiver. You need a slot receiver. Run 3 wide.
There you go. You got Harry Douglas in the slot. You got 2-7 on the left side of pass blocking, which is good. You can conceivably hurt him with the 2-5-5 on the other side, but he's trying to avoid, I think, long distance situations. It'll be interesting to see how Dan does with this offense because I think of Dan as a guy who likes to go up top a little bit with his offense, likes to run and go up top.
Right. Let's look at that defense.
Indeed. And Bennett's good. So kind of a weird offense. But defense is where he invested almost all of his trade assets, it seemed, Dennis. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah, and he's going to be going to have a lot of fun blitzing like he usually does, so the sacks will be there. But he can do that. He can get away with that because he's got double-barreled 6s and a 6 at free safety. The new rule kind of hurts coaches like this and my team too. To be frank, because you have a 6 free safety that you can't move off to the third role to cover the slot guy. You have to, if you're going to blitz, you're going to have to bring him as your blitzer, which was kind of the idea of the rule.
And leave Walter Thurman on an island.
You got to.
Yes. Now, now for those who don't know, Dan loves to blitz, loves to pass rush. We had a long FM forum, maybe about a month before the end of the SOMIFA season. Free City blitzing and blah, blah, blah. Didn't think it was as viable a strategy against good teams. It works great against mid-level teams and bad teams. But in the playoffs, trying to beat the good teams, I generally don't find it viable. If you have I'm talking about the mid-level defense. If you have a great defense and you're free city blitzing, okay, that could work. You have great pass rushers. But there were these mid-level defenses with a lot of 4s on them that, like Dan and Nathan, have had success with in the regular season. I think that's kind of good, but that's what I mean. That type of defense with all the fours, kind of gimmicky, where in the big spot and deep in the playoffs, you're going to have a hard time beating a real good team, but it can get you there. So it certainly has its merits. Anyway, so he goes 6'5", 4'4" on the line. Goes 4.05 with pass against the pass linebacker, but he'll point out it's 4.66 against the run. So he's got the 6 on the run to help against the 4s.
Right.
Top of the 4s there.
He can blitz Brinkley off tackle or linebacker and bring Charles Woodson down to cover that flat if you want to pick on that 0.
That's right. Now, and what helps him, he's got double corner 6s, double barrel 6s, and a safety 4. So, he can, oftentimes, blitz a free safety, bring Woodson up for the flats or whatever. Now, Dan likes to blitz heavily. I wish he had more out of this front 4 for pass rush for his style. Maybe Tyrone Crawford will see more playing time than we think as a 0-6 at that tackle spot. Because you want.
So Dan, he's running a 4-3 or a 3-4?
Running 4-3.
Okay.
He's usually runs a 4-3.
Okay.
Now he's got outside linebackers 10 and 9, but only one of them can be a high linebacker. So
right.
I don't know. I've seen Dan do well with his defense, so I got to give him credit for doing well with this defense. There was one weakness in this team because he had to go for so much for the year and kind of ran out of assets, I guess. But his kicking game is very weak. Now his return game, nothing wrong with that at all. But his kicking game, the opponent coverage is plus 33, plus 34 for Kai Forbath. That's only part of the problem because he's 2-11, 2-9, 2-8 and 12, 2-6, 11 and 12,
right.
23 to 32.
That's going to hurt.
And 2-8 and 12. So I think that hurts. It's going to hurt more with this type of team. And then when you look at his punter is 46 with a block, but the opponent coverage is 15-17. By Ed's rankings, Dan has the worst kicker and the worst punter in the set.
Oof! Wow.
Not in the league, not just in the league, but in the set. So now they're not awful. I think it's 2-3, but I think it's going to hurt with a team that I think is going to be a lot of close games.
Dan, just go for it every time. Don't kick. Just go for it. Yeah. 4th down, no punting, no field goals. Just go for
Bridgewater.
It. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Dan's coaching. I know he's going to coach a good job with his defense and get a lot out of them. I'm going to give him 9-7 with this team. All
right. I will go 10-6.
All right. Now, can I turn the screen over to you? And I want you to how do I do this? I've forgotten how to stop screen sharing.
It doesn't matter because I'll just present my screen.
Okay. And take over Minnesota a second. I have to send a brief text out.
Okay, got it. So let's go look at them on the roster sheet since I have that handy. So Minnesota, Dale Ripley. Now he's another coach that's been rebuilding. He is traded off a bunch of assets, got some young players. He loved his Vikings. We picked up Stephon Diggs and Michael Kendricks, or is it Michael Kendricks? Who's it? No, Eric Kendricks. And both those guys have looked great so far. So well done to him. He also got Amari Cooper. He's the one that wound up with like 5 first-round picks or something crazy like that. Just a ton of 6 first-round picks, and he's cashed them in. Now, one of the guys he got, Amir Abdullah, is now on IR, so he'll have to come back. He still needs to address his quarterback because he's got Hoy Tolzien and Landry Jones and Christian Ponder on IR. So none of those guys are
5 first-round picks.
5 first-round picks. That works. And you can see those guys: Diggs, Cooper, Eric Kendricks, Amir Abdullah. Who was the other one? It had to be
Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett. So
if you go back to my screen, I've got his draft up.
All right, I'll push it back to you. So let's see, how do I do that? So he's gotten some young talent. He made good choices on his picks. Let me present you now. Okay, so now you're sharing again. You got to share your screen though, because I think you stopped. There it is.
I am.
Okay, so he's got a ton of talent, and getting Kevin Johnson's looked excellent. Melvin Gordon's looked excellent. Some of those guys that he picked in the second round are going to be first round picks now. Go back to that draft thing, your draft sheet. So, those 2 guys that went in the early and then mid part of the first round or second round, those guys are first round picks now, possibly tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised to see Johnson go in the first round.
Well, Johnson, he graded out pretty well as a rookie. He was the nickel corner, and this year he's still third among corners in snaps because of Kareem Jackson. He's grading out way better than Kareem Jackson, but they keep starting Kareem Jackson. But I'm sure sooner or later Johnson will get in the starting lineup. You talked about when he drafted Gordon, you asked me, well, do I like that pick or that's a bad pick because he already drafted Abdullah? What did I think? I said, hey, if you like the running back, there's nothing wrong with taking one more running back, especially with all these picks.
Especially
I wasn't that huge on Gordon, but now it's worked out better for him.
Yeah,
like Abdullah got injured,
and especially when you guys those guys are the ones that do get injured. The running backs, they take a pounding sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, so for the future, Dale just started the rebuilding group. He had a few winning seasons in a row. Now he's rebuilding. Now for the year, Brian Hoyer is the quarterback. Actually, Dennis does not have that bad a card. Not that good. But, he's got 15 short pass right units. That's better than some of the other guys we're looking at.
Wow, that's true. I didn't think he would be that good.
Yeah, no, and he's even got 2 must-run units. And Brian Hoyer, 2 to 11 plus 6 or more, Dennis.
Yeah, he's actually grading out higher than Bridgewater and right next to Tannehill on Ed's rankings.
Yes, naturally. Then he's got Abdullah. This is a future-oriented team, so let's not spend too much time on it. Offensive line not that good. But Hoyer's not too bad. Abdullah's kind of okay. You got Diggs and Cooper receiving. Okay. So it's not just going to, it's not like my winless SSFA team with Andre Williams and Derek Carr, Defense goes 5-4-4-4, 4-0-4, 4-4-0-4.
That's not good. I mean, some of those guys are going to be good for the future, but that's not a great defensive team.
Yes, he has a left end 5. Everyone else is a 4-0. When you're rebuilding, that's the way it goes. And despite Brian Hoyer having a better call than expected, I'll go 4-12 for the Vikings.
All right. Let me go to my predictions. 4-12 for the Vikings. I will go. Gosh, I'll go 4-12 too. I think that could be that. This team, along with Kansas City and LA, are going to be fighting it out for that number 1 pick.
Okay, so far. And actually, those are probably the worst teams. Philly, I'll have to see how good they are because I know he was rebuilding also. I'll see how they're in the mix. But there's not that many really bad teams this year. And even those teams could do a couple of things. I said, Hoyer's not awful. Right. Now we come to JETS, Jets. Do you want to run through this team, Dennis, or should I run through the team and then comment at the end? What do you do? Like normal. Normal?
Yeah, do like normal. You have a good handle on your team, and I think that I
do.
And I'll just sit back and enjoy the show. Keep going.
So I drafted Brandon Weeden in the 4th round as a quarterback for the year. I like his card for the year. Ed is a number 8 overall for the year. I have number 12. Okay. His must run is better than you think. 2 to 10, 6 yards or more.
Wow.
Okay? Although 7 is only like 7 or 8 yards. That's not like 7 plus 12 or something. Flat pass, literally maxed card. Short pass, he's got 10. He's got 10-18, but those 7 units of must run are like at least another 5 completions because his must run is so strong. 2 to 9, 7 yards or more. 2 to 10, 6 yards or more. Long passes where he stinks. 2-6. So long pass roll is not going to scare anybody, even my receivers probably. But again, the 7 must run right units, when you throw a long pass, guess right, you're probably still going to get a completion. But at least it's a little better than if you had no must runs.
It's funny. I don't know how good of a strat coach Jason Garrett would be, but you look at this card, and I think in real life for the NFL Cowboys, he went like 0-4 or 0-5, didn't throw a touchdown pass or something like that. It's like, come on, man. And if I was coaching that team, I'd be able to find the end zone with that guy.
Yeah, I think he was on like I think it was 0-2 or 3. I think he only played a couple of games there.
And then they cut him loose.
But he throws a pretty ball, as Jerry would tell you. Yeah. Pretty good offensive line in this team. I got 7s at center, left guard, and left tackle. I got a 6 at left guard. Everyone else is a 5 except for the right tackle is only a 4-5. A blocking back 5-4. I've got great receivers. Al Robinson has got a very exciting card.
Which is the reason why
these guys are maxed up.
Which is the reason why you were able to do a horrible deal with Nathan, is because you did have such depth at wide receiver.
Well, I had Allen Robinson, Julio Jones, and DeAndre Hopkins, and I had a lot of the needs for the future. I was like, what am I going to do with 3 receivers and no quarterback and blah, blah, blah. So
plus, you made that deal before you actually saw the cards. Before you saw the
cards. Now, I was supposed to get Tom Brady, And I was like, well, if I get Brady, I'm going to invest a lot more for the year. Let me trade Hopkins for assets and then flip the assets. And the Brady deal collapsed. But then Nathan felt like, listen, I was waiting for the Hopkins deal, and now I missed out on a quarterback. Then, of course, he trades for Kirk Cousins a week later. But he said that wasn't supposed to happen. I believe him. Nathan, yeah, we're talking. But anyway, I should have made the deal. I should have backed out. Future, all I got to do is just be less committed. That's all. If I miss out on deals, I miss out on deals. Because I know how great Hopkins is, and now the guy's not on my team. He's going to be great for 9 years. You know what I'm saying? So anyway. Absolutely. Allen Robinson's got a great card for the year. Julio Jones is maxed out as well. So these guys are really, really good. Unfortunately, I don't have a quarterback that can get the ball downfield too well, but still. Zach Ertz is a 6 blocking as well, and he's got a pretty nice card, flat pass max. He can also go deep a little bit, at least as a threat, 5'10". Blocking back Craig Stevens is not too bad. Actually, he's a 5, and he's got some nice yardage on the flat pass, Dennis. So that's going to help with dump offs and have good pass blocking. And also, I'd like to have 5 at least somewhat helpful receiving targets. Because if you got a good second tight end and running back, or blocking back and running back, at least for flat pass, makes it a little harder for them to blitz those outside linebackers, and helps you with your running game a little bit and with not getting sacked. And also, they can't drop the back into double covers as much because they risk the flat pass wrong. You got to throw to those guys that are willing to do it. The running game, I think with the short pass right, the pass blocking and the flat passing, the passing game will be fairly effective. Okay, it's not going to be like when I had Peyton Manning, but it's going to be fairly effective. The key, I think, for this offense is going to be if the running game can do its part, because Devonta Freeman and Frank Gore are okay. They can do a couple of things, but they're not real strong. Freeman had a 4-yard average. He's a very good receiver because the 0-4 pass block, which helps. Linebacker stinks on wrong. Off tackle wrong, not that great either. And run wrong pretty good. Kind of like Lamar Miller, but not quite as horrible on right, but still not good on right. But that end run wrong column is where Freeman's going to have to probably spend a lot of time. Off tackle wrong, not too bad. And you don't risk losing as much yards. But he's got such a good receiving card, especially flat pass wrong, and also short pass, that it's going to be hard for them to move that right outside linebacker with Freeman in the game. Frank Gore, on the other hand, is more of an inside guy. He's a 0-5 pass blocking. And he's okay. I mean, this card doesn't look that great. It's certainly not the same card you would get with the Niners. Kind of a backup card, and if they're going to guess pass all day and you have a good line, maybe you can do some things with it.
Right.
I know you thought the off-tackle card is probably better than I think it is.
I like it.
Okay, and Gore can catch some flat passes and stuff like that to also help keep the linebacker home. So I think the offense will be okay. I talked about, I think this whole team reminds me of some of the teams Zeb had a couple of years before he won the Super Bowl, when he wasn't going all out for the year, and maybe he had like an old Donovan McNabb one year, and like it wasn't a bad team. He would go like 10-6 and be competitive, but it certainly wasn't a championship type of team. And I kind of view this team as kind of that level of quality of team. Well, what do you think of the offense, Dennis?
Well, you have premium talent at the receivers: Julio Jones, Allen Robinson, Zach Ertz, even your second tight end Coby Fleener can do some things. So, and Craig Stevens, who you picked up late, right in front of me, is going to be an effective guy for you as well. I think, and you have 3-7 pass blockers, so you'll get some dump offs. Your worst pass blockers at right guard where you want them. I really don't see too many weaknesses with this team. Is Hudson a center guard or just a guard?
Rodney Hudson's a center.
Yeah. So it would have been nice if he was a center guard, so you could flip Joe Hawley in there on third downs and have all 7s or four 7s there. But no, you're covered. You're gonna have the problem that you're gonna have is if when you need to come from behind, you don't want to have to do that with a card like Whedon's, but your running backs are good enough. Freeman, you complain about his card, but if you're facing a coach that calls pass all day, forget about running Gore. Just run Freeman and run all day. That'll get him.
I wasn't really complaining about it. I think it's a fair card for him. I was just pointing out what the strengths and weaknesses are in it. You know what I'm saying? Right,
absolutely. So if you get a coach that's calling pass all day, hit him back with that end run card on Freeman until he starts calling run, and then you can hit those receiver readings on the receivers. So,
all right, let's move over. So the offense, you like the offense. I think it's offense that can score like 23 points a game or something, but it's not going to light it up like some of my good offenses have at other times in other
I'll
leagues.
tell you what, you're going to show you how good your defense is. This is a lot like the Denver Broncos last year, where you have really good receiver targets, a really strong defense, really amazing secondary. So you're just going to let the defense give you good field position, and then the offense not kill you.
Well, what's interesting is I have the Denver Broncos safeties, T.J. Ward and Darian Stewart, and the Broncos have corner sixes, and I have corner sixes. So actually, my secondary is exactly the Broncos' secondary.
There you go.
So that's interesting. Now, the defense, not a typical Tom Cook defense. You know what I love, Dennis? We all know I love the young players. I've been building this team. This is my 4th year building. I like looking at my defensive starters, look at the names. Ezekiel Lanza, Sylvester Williams, Chris Baker, Melvin Ingram, Bernard McKinney, Ryan Shazier, Mark Barron, Malcolm Butler, T.J. Watt, Darrell Rivas, Darian Stewart. I mean, that's a lot of young talent in that group. And then I've even got backups like Grady Jarrett, Coney Ely, Bradley Roby, even Max Bullough play well now for the Texans. I got the supplemental. So I like that. Like, this looks like the type of roster I always wanted to have. Yeah. Even though it's definitely not a championship roster for the year. It's a decent team for the year, but for the future, I really like the way it's going. And I've got 2 1s and 2 2s next year, so I'm pretty happy with the direction of the team. Meanwhile, of course, Andrew Luck has got a sore shoulder now.
Yeah,
but I'll have to get the quarterback if he falls apart. We'll see what happens.
All right, but you told me before the supplemental that you were having trouble figuring out which guys to cut, which typically on the New York Jets, that's been an easy thing to do.
Oh, week 8. That's Seahawks.
No, seriously though, you have a lot of good young talent. You don't have a lot of guys that you're like, oh, I can't wait to get rid of this guy. A lot of the guys have good futures. So, the future's looking bright for you, Mr. Cook.
All right, let's look at the team for the defense for the year. So I go 5-4-5 in the defensive line. Linebackers go 4. It's a 3-4 defense, of course, usually with me. Linebackers go 4-4-0-4. Corner 6s, safety 5s. Got way more pass rush than I ever had before in this team. With his answers a 12 with his 6 asterisks because a down lineman is pretty nice. It's awesome, actually. Melvin Ingram is a 12 with a 5 asterisk blitzing. Even Chris Baker gives me a 6 at right end. Gives me a little something if I blitz a little bit. So you might see a little more blitzing, a little more free safety blitzing out of this Jets team.
Which you can do a little bit easier when you have 2 6 cornerbacks.
You can do it a little easier when you have 2 6 cornerbacks. My MO for my past, more likely you're going to see the inside linebackers coming up to linebacker and Darius Stewart coming up as see. I'm good at defensive end and in the short pass defenders, so I feel better about helping the nose tackle and helping the flats, which is where I'm weak. So I'm hoping this defense plays better. I'm going to be vulnerable to guys that have good receiving, like second tight end, blocking back, running back. Or a very strong running game where I got to respect it because, give me a pass that gets wrong, it's going to be a problem. But I'm hoping the defense can play pretty well. I'm kind of excited to play with this team just because they're different for me. It's a very different type of team for me. 3-4, still a lot of the linebackers are weak, the nose tackles are weak, but I got pass rush in a secondary. I got a lot of good things going on the offense, but I can't throw the bomb at all with Whedon and the run. There's no guest right running game, so it's kind of a weird team. I'm looking forward to playing the team they do. I got decent returners. My number 2 punt returner, they're good. I got very strong kicking game with the coverage. I got plus 10, 11, and 12 in the kickoffs, plus 1, 4, 5 in the punts. But here's the problem: my extra point is only 2 to 9 and 12, and otherwise Dan Carpenter is good. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of my team. I'll let you predict, Dennis. What do you predict for the Jets?
I will predict the New York Jets will be a playoff team. I see you winning 10 games and with a potential to be dangerous. Now, hey, never mind. Got it. I have the Giants first on my sheet, but it doesn't matter. Jets 10-6.
Okay, that's because the league manager has New York AFC, and the AFC will use Giants and Jets alphabetically, probably. I'm going to go. I don't know what to make of this team. I want to predict 8-8, but there's a lot. You know what? What the team does? There's nothing this team does really great, but there's a lot of pretty good things going on. I'm going to give it 9-7. The schedule looks favorable, Dennis. I think besides you, I don't play San Fran. I don't play Houston. I don't think I play San Diego. I think I have a lot of rebuilding teams on my schedule. I'm going to go 9-7 now. Hopefully, do better. We'll see.
Sounds good.
All right. I'll tell you what. I would take 10-6 in a heartbeat. That's for sure.
I think that what's really going to help you is when you land on those receiver readings. You got the receiver double teams going on. You got a lot of yardage there. When people get tired of getting guess strong run on you, I think that you have a lot of potential there, and the defense is going to carry the day.
Well, I hope so. I'm a little worried about certain aspects of the defense because not my style of defense, but hopefully I'll come through with them. I have been researching my free. I don't mind free safety blitzing under the right circumstances. I'm just not one of those guys who says yes, it should be done every play, all game long, all season long against everybody.
Right.
Anyway, which is an exaggeration, I know. So Nathan's already writing notes on taking his head. New York Football Giants now under the stewardship of Jersey Joe Golden. And he's down to a decent team, but not a great team for the year. They got Alex Smith at quarterback, and Alex Smith's running card, I think, is not quite as good as the year before. But 2 plus 6 awards still pretty nice number and wrong. Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, and the Giants made trades more for the future. They tried to.
Yes.
They didn't seem to when you got a quarterback card like Alex Smith, you could very easily try to go the other way and make trades, trading away the future to try to fill up all your holes. But I love his secondary when you get to the defense, but besides that, he had a lot of holes on the defensive line that he didn't feel like filling, and his offensive line only has 1 or 2 good pieces. So he went the other way instead of trying to make a push for the playoffs and try to get lucky in the tournament. He decided to just pick up a couple of draft picks next year. He's got Cincinnati's second, Miami's third, Miami's fourth. He traded away Whitworth on the line. That was the Cincinnati trade. The Miami trade are guys like I think Tom Bahali went over there, and I can't remember the other piece he traded. I'll find out in a second. But go ahead and tell me what you think about.
I think it was in last year's card set that Joe kind of emerged as a guy who started playing in all these online draft football leagues. And he's a bit of I don't want to say disciple in terms of we don't communicate via email and stuff, but there's like a few guys like Joe and Jeff Bevier and Tony who I think really took the way that I started talking about the young players and your roster and the future and how to draft good guys. I really took it to heart and kind of ran with it. And then Joe, and Joe and I are friends, because we played a lot now, mostly in Battle Royale. And been in drafts together. And a few months ago, we emailed. He's like, I'm rebuilding on all my teams, and I'm tired of losing. I think it's hurting my coaching.
Yeah,
which is what's good about Battle Royale is that you get to play for the year. But go ahead, Dennis. What are you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say Charles Woodson was the other piece he traded. He got a 3rd-round pick, so he got a second for Whitworth, a 3rd-round pick for Woodson, and I think a 3rd-round pick for Holly. So.
I think it's 3 this year for Woodson. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Holly was Minnesota. That's not right. So he got Woodson. Oh, and he traded a 4th-round pick this year for a 3rd next year. So he picked up a 3rd next year by trading a 4th-round pick, another 3rd for trading Woodson, and a 2nd for trading Whitworth.
Alrighty. Now, I don't think Alex Smith's card is so great that you should definitely go for the year.
I think it's pretty,
Alex Smith.
It's
not like Tom Brady. I mean, it's pretty good. Actually, I do have them before, but you pointed out there's not a lot of difference. But 10, Alex Smith, 10, 18 short pass. It's got 11 must runs, but those become 5.5 completions. So it's almost over 15. He's got the 3-8 bomb. He's got the super low turnover, which always helps him. Solid flat pass, but it's not like that. It's not like the Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, really get after you type of quarterback card. It's like a nice solid card, very good flat pass. But the downfield, the short pass and long pass wrong are not, exciting really,
Right. I agree.
So and he's fourth the most mathematically, but turnovers factor in there heavily. And there's probably not a lot of difference on my list. How much better is his card than Brandon Whedon's?
I think it's significantly better because you get those that must run on 2 and 3, you're going halfway down the field. He's got a plus 49 on 2. It's not going to come up that often, but I like that must-run card. Whedon's got that 7-7, 8-8, 7-7, 6-6 kind of thing going on, but this guy will get you first downs.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a lot of difference between 4 and 12 in the quarterback file that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a card you can win with, and you got to coach the card the right way. Obviously, it's not a downfield card. And look, in this set, not a lot of long passing. So if you're not that great long passing, and he's actually not that awful at it, it doesn't hurt you as much in comparison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think the team was good enough that
he could have gone. He could have made
yeah.
more moves for the year and rode Alex Smith and did it. But Joe likes to take the big picture. And
the guys,
you know what I mean, Dennis. You know what I mean? Is what with SSFA when SSFA started, I said I'm going to go all future all the time until my team is so good that it doesn't matter. And I never had a losing season with that team until they had 8 years, made 2 Super Bowls, never had a losing season, made the playoffs every year but once when I was 8-8, and then I finally had to rebuild. But near the end, I started going for the year more because it's like, I saw the window closing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say this is a rebuild. This is like a mini tweak because the 2 guys he traded were both over 34. Whitworth is 34, 35, and Woodson, of course, is retired, and he was in mid to late 30s. So, or
picked up
36
for those guys.
Yeah. So that's fine. I think I don't have any problem with that.
They drafted Ronald Darby, Danielle Hunter. We all love Stephon Anthony. I'm not a big fan of Illinois, but he drafted him. So those first 3 guys will help, but he got extra picks, I think, next year. And there's still a fair amount of talent on this team. Got CJ Anderson. It's interesting. The way they're using CJ Anderson right now at Denver, it's only 2 games. So they don't know what's going to happen. You know, if CJ and Odom win. But if he gets used like that, like the whole year, and Simeon's not that great passing, he can end up with a monster card next year, like a Lynch type of card, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Dennis, take over the team again for a minute because there's a personal matter going on.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next team, and we'll get our predictions from Tom when he gets back. So let me share my screen now. So that's the New York Giants. I'll give you a sneak preview. My prediction for the Giants is going to be that team's too good to go much more than 6-10. So I'll go 6-10 for the Giants, and we'll see what Tom wants to do when he gets back. So the next team is the Philadelphia Eagles. This is our second Jeff Bevier. Where am I at here? Let's go over to the SOMIFA rosters. Here we go. So Jeff's got Sam Bradford, who's looking really good so far for the Vikings. But this year's cards, it's just average. He picked up Todd Gurley. He really wanted Marcus Mariota, as we talked about. He was picking second. So when Mariota went off the board first, he was a little disheartened, but chin up. He's got Todd Gurley, who, even though he's off to a slow start, is going to be a very good running back long term, I think, picking up the mantle for guys like Adrian Peterson as one of the better running backs in the league. AJ Green, John Brown, pretty premium pass catchers there. Not that great at tight end. He's got pretty good pass blocking on the offensive line. Travis Frederick, Fred Beard's got a 6'5". Schwartz is a 7 pass blocker. Havenstein, he picked up in the draft, is another 7, and Jake Matthews is a 7. So he's going to get some dump offs. He's going to get some strong calls with people trying to stop Gurley, and he's going to move the chains by hitting Green and John Brown on those receivers get strong. Now the problem is on the defensive side of the ball. Look at all those 4s. One stud on the defensive line, Chandler Jones, and then after that, Tyson Jackson's the 5, but he's only a 5-0, and 4s in the secondary and 4s at linebacker. So this team is going to have trouble stopping people. He's going to be able to move the ball. He's going to put points on the board, but he's going to have trouble stopping people. And the offense could be inconsistent just thanks to Sam Bradford's card. Let me pull up the SOMIFA rosters here. I was letting Tom drive that area. So let's go team manage rosters and Philadelphia. So just looking at this card, I remember it being, decent on the flats. That try to go deep with this card, you're going to be in trouble because of the picks, and he's got a lot of blanks there on the short pass card. So I hear Tom coming back on. Tom, you there? Nope, still not there. So actually, Tom has dropped off. So let's go ahead and nail a prediction here. I'm going to go, and we'll get Tom's prediction when he gets back. But for Philadelphia, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 6-10 for them. So I'm really going to need to pick up some wins here to balance it out, because the teams I got a lot of teams going lower here. Um, Gosh, I think I'll change that to 7-9. That the offense is good enough that he'll do a little bit better than it looks like. So now on to the Steelers. The Steelers, Coach Ron Martin, two-time champion, I believe. Check out the where's my other sheet open? I had to shut my Excel down because it was had too many sheets open. But SOMIFA year-by-year coach records. This is the one that has how everybody's done. But look at the fine record that Ron's put together. He's three-time champion. I almost cost him a championship there. He won the initial SOMIFA Bowl and then followed it up with SOMIFA Bowls with the 2009, 2011 card set. Another team that's been consistently double-digit wins. He had a down year 2 years ago, and this year I believe he's trying to rebuild a little bit. So let's take a look at those Steelers. So he's got Aaron Rodgers, who's got not your typical Aaron Rodgers card. Nice end run card and must run card, solid, but a lot of blanks. You don't really typically see Aaron Rodgers with blanks on 4 and 5 on flat passes. That's not the completion percentage we're used to seeing. And even 5 and 6, guessed wrong. You're going to wind up hitting those blanks more often than you'd like. But I think Ron was aware of that. He does have Jeremy Hill, who's got a decent card. He's trying to build up these pieces again. He needs, look at that. Actually, Jeremy Hill has a very nice card. So that's going to help Rodgers land on his guessed wrong card more often than not. He's got Joe Barksdale, a left tackle. He's got a little bit of a problem protecting the quarterback at right guard and center. But again, I don't think he's worried about it. He's not looking to go to the playoffs. He's probably going to wind up finishing at 500 or a little bit below, which most coaches wouldn't be able to do, because he gets super competitive, hyper competitive, like a lot of coaches in SOMIFA, and he doesn't know when to just take a loss. He wants to get those wins, and he's got some decent talent up front. Ian Williams is a 5 nose tackle. Mike Daniels has got a 5 defensive end card. Not that great pass rushing, and he's got 3 4s in the secondary. So I think this team normally I would predict to go like 5 and 11, but with Ron, I'm going to say 7 and 9, and we move on to the San Diego Chargers. So San Diego, we'll have to catch up with Tom with his picks when he get back. Now, this is the team that wanted to trade Tom Brady. He wanted to trade off quite a few pieces and try to go through a rebuilding process, but he wasn't able to do that. He wasn't able to, and because TJ is such a good drafter, he wasn't worried about necessarily plugging holes and competing this year. Although I got to think that he's going to put Donald Penn in there at right tackle. Hasn't finished his CM maybe, but his center position has nobody but 0-0. So you usually don't see that in the draft league. Usually you see a guy at least get a 0-3 or 0-4 to plug in there, but he's going to go 0-0. So that center, if he comes up on a pass rushing chart, it's going to make Tom Brady's card less effective. But let's look at this Brady card. My goodness, you're talking about almost a perfect card, guessed wrong, short pass. He's got completions 2 through 7 and 9 and 12. And then when you guess him right, he's still solid across the board. But this is kind of like what Tom was talking about. Even with a guy like Brady, the premium card in the set, you're usually going to see 1 or 2 more completions on a short pass guessed right, but not this time. But Brady has just a superb card that'll help him win games. He's got Justin Forsett, which it's kind of a middle of the pack running back, but pretty solid. He'll do some things there. Tim picked up Tim Hightower to help out with the carries. Jimmy Graham's got a really nice receiving card, so he'll probably run 2 tight end sets with Eifert, Graham, and Alshon Jeffrey as his better targets. Maybe he'll even shift Graham in as a starting wide receiver because Philly Brown is the guy he has in there now. He isn't in his coach file, I bet, and he's just okay, not too bad, better than I thought. The defense has got 3 6s in the secondary, though, so that's going to be the strength of his team. He's got Dontari Poe as the 6th nose tackle. Looks like a pretty strong team. let's look at his special teams. Not too bad, not too bad. Kickoff returns not great at 7 and 8, but he's not going to get hit with long gains. He will on the punt returns. Kicking game solid, and his punt returner's got a touchdown on 2, touchdown on 11 on his punt return 1. Kick returns are okay, nothing that great. So this team, I'm going to predict this team to go 9-7, be in the playoffs, and so he's gonna Tom's busy doing something else, so he's gonna come back with his predictions. So let's get into the San Francisco 49ers. And Ed, we talked about this. Ed is, of course, look at his track record. He's got 4 Super Bowl titles. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons in a row with double-digit wins, 11 on the last 12 double-digit wins. And despite not having success in the playoffs the last three years, he did lose in the Super Bowl in 2011. So he's got 1-1, 1-1, and 0-1. All of that's led up to Ed putting together a real powerhouse team this year. Carson Palmer has got one of the better quarterback cars in this. That D'Angelo Williams had just a surprise stud-like season. He can even catch the ball a little bit. He's got a 34 yard as a wrong car, so you get those dump offs to go to Williams for plus 30. He's going to be able to go the whole way. Rob Gronkowski, he's got the double team completions. Demaryius Thomas is a strong receiver card. Just, 3 sevens and a 5 for pass blocking. And look at this defense. Snacks Harrison's a 6. Muhammad Wilkerson's a 6. You got Whitney Merciless coming as a linebacker to give support. 2 6s in the secondary. He's going to replace that left cornerback with Amerson, so he's got 5. And Weddle's going to be starting, so he's got 5, 5, 6, 6 in the secondary. Just a premium card, and Ed knows how to coach him up. Robert Ayers is going to come in for pass rushing on third downs. So this team looks very strong. I'm going to predict a 13-3 type season, maybe 14-2. Gosh, let's go 14-2 for Ed. You can't go wrong with his track record. I really like this team. And I needed to get closer to 500. I'm 4 wins off 500 from balancing my record out. So let's go with that. Let's go with 14-2. So far, Ed and Paul have been the 2 top teams that I've seen. So let's go to the Seahawks. Now I made that trade that Tom alluded to switch myself from. I was going to go 4-3 with 2 6s. I hope I'm not sharing Tom's screen anymore. I can't be, right? It's only me. Yeah, I'm screen sharing and presenting. So I was gonna run a 4-3 with 2 6s in the interior, and my pass rushing wasn't that great. Actually, we need to restore. I need to open. No wonder this thing's not looking right. I need to be opening up the SOMIFA 2, SOMIFA preseason 2, which I can grab off the website real quick. I downloaded it on another machine. That's why I thought I had it here already. But let's bring that over and restore. So this will have a more up-to-date coach files. So restore league downloads. It's tough what Tom does when he just goes off and is just soliloquying the entire time. Makes it a lot tougher when you're flying solo. So we don't want to do computer notebook. We want to do manage league rosters. So let's look at that San Francisco team again. First, let's look at San Diego again, because so that's a little bit better example. He's got 4 7s as his pass blockers. He does have Jimmy Graham starting at a tight end, a split end, and Tyler Eifert as a tight end. And then when he goes 2 tight end sets, Antonio Gates is the other tight end. So that's going to help his offense. He still has that 0 at center, of course. But then he's got his 3 6s. That's a really nice team. So what did I predict for? Let's go back to my predictions for TJ. I had him going 9-7. I'm going to boost that up to 10-6 because I think that is a strong team. And I'll go take one win away from Ed, 13-3. So we're at the same combined record. So Ed's going to go 13-3. Another strong team is Paul. Another strong team is Jay, and we have a couple of strong teams to go. And Dan and Tom are right in there as well, along with TJ, with the strong playoff teams. So let's look at the San Francisco real quick. Even though I adjusted them down a win, we'll get a better idea of what their team looks like now with the coach file set. So again, Demaryius Thomas, he's going to start. Percy Harvin as a split in. He got him in a trade from me. Percy's got kind of an okay card, but when you got D'Angelo Williams, you're going to get a lot more run calls than you expect. His defense is where it's at. Muhammad Wilkerson, 6'12", Damon Harrison, I already talked about him, but it's got good, strong inside linebackers. He is running a 3-4, of course, with Damon Harrison there. And then the secondary, 2 5s, 2 6s, really strong team. So you can, and Ed knows how to coach him up. He's starting Curtis Lofton as a 0-4-3 inside linebacker, but Ed will do some things, keep people off balance, and I see that team finishing 13-3. So now on to Seattle. Like I said, I brought in late in the game. I was going to go with a 4-3 with Sue and Linval Joseph there as 6 inside linebackers or defensive tackles, but I traded Linval Joseph for Navarro Bowman. So now I'm going to run a 3-4, and that allows me to blitz a little more. I also traded off Tahir Whitehead in the late deal to get Lamar Houston, who's torn his ACL and is going to miss the rest of the season. So that actually pushed me to look for an inside linebacker that I could run a 3-4, so I can bring those guys a little bit more. I've got Brandon Marshall, Navarro Bowman. So my problem with my team is these 4s in the secondary, and I'm hoping to take the pressure off them by blitzing and bringing some linebacker heat to take, have people make a choice if they want to take a shot and risk getting blitzed. And a lot of these guys have great pass blocking, so they're willing to do that. My quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Mark Ingram, and Tevin Coleman are my main running backs, with Danny Woodhead there as a third down receiver. So this is a pretty strong team. Coming off a championship, I wanted to put together a team that would at least make a respectable defense of that crown. So I like my chances to finish with 12 wins or so. I'll go ahead and throw that in there. I'm going to put 12-4 for the Seahawks and at least have a shot at doing some things in the playoffs. So now I've gotten 2 mini wins. So that takes us to Tampa Bay. Gosh, I need to trim a win or 2 off here. So, gosh, who do I want to do that with? Jeff. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm going to switch you down to 6-10. I need to be close to 500 going into these last 2 teams because I think they're not going to be much worse. New York Giants, Joe, I'm taking you down to 5-11. There you go. That's balancing. Now I'm at 176 and 176. It's tough to balance these. You always want to be a little bit more optimistic. So my final predictions will be close to what I want. But I think, if I remember right, Tim's got a pretty good team, and so does John. So let's see. Tim's got Matt Hasselbeck in there. He tried to make that late trade for Josh McCown, but TRC said no suit for you. Doug Martin's got a strong card. Of course, he's got Antonio Brown and Sammy Watkins. Tim talked about on his draft preview that he wanted to get guys. He wanted to make a trade with a number 2 picks to try to get an impact wide receiver. And Watkins, despite his health issues this year, is going to be one of those guys. Look at that, guessed wrong, plus 53. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Josh Gordon type card. Really high receiver average. And of course, you couple that with Antonio Brown, you're not going to be able to easily double team. Darren Fells actually has a pretty strong, look at that. Whew. Talk about a max card. God, Antonio Brown's just a stud. He's got the double team completions. Darren Fells actually has a surprise A tight end card can do some things. Guessed wrong. Look at that. You'd love to have a card guessed right with a 14, 12, and 10 in the middle there. Can't really go deep that well, but he's not too shabby. He's got 3 sevens pass blocking, and the center's weak, but you can't be strong everywhere. He's running. I think he's running a 4-3. Let's look at the team. Yeah, he's running a 4-3. So he's got Star Latualele and Kevin Williams in the middle. He's got fives across the front, but he's deciding to run Dwight Freeney instead of Brian Robinson. He'd rather have that 10 pass rush instead of the 6, instead of the 4. He doesn't worry about the end run, so he can get burned there a little bit. He's got 3 5s in the secondary, and the 4 is his free safety, so he can use him to double team. That's a pretty strong defensive team. Gosh, his quarterback's got me a little concerned. Let's look at Hasselbeck's card. Hasselbeck's retired, of course. A lot of blanks there. That's going to stall his offense out. So I'm going to go with a 10 and it's a 10 and 6, 9 and 7 type team. I think the defense will carry the team. I'd say 10 and 6. So now I'm 4 games over 500. I may have to trim a little more somewhere else. Let's look at John first. See where we're at there. Tennessee. Big Ben Roethlisberger with Jamal Charles, Jerick McKinnon, Martavis Bryant, Emmanuel Sanders. This is a lot of talent here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get him down to 500. A lot of talent on the defense too. Let's see what he's running. He's running a 3-4. Special teams, decent. Field goal solid. Lucky Whitehead's a nice kick returner. Punt returner, nothing to write home about. Let's look at that. Let's look at that Big Ben card. Is this the one that he has a little bit higher picks than normal? Yeah, a straight interception on 9. So that's going to cause some problems. But look at that flat card. He doesn't have to worry about that. He can live in the flats and short and not only go deep occasionally. But you haven't seen a straight pick like that for a little bit, especially for Big Ben. Let's look at McKinnon. I know Charles has got a nice card. I think he's limited in 1/2. McKinnon has also limited in 1/2. So one of them is going to be the first half back. One of them will be the second half back. Charles's card is fantastic. So you get a lot of run calls, run flats, and he'll be able to move the chains. Greg Olson's got double team completions as well. So this looks like another strong team to me too. Might get in trouble with those interceptions deep, but I'm going to say this is another 10 and 6 team. I like this team a lot. So now I'm 8 games over. I got to trim somewhere. What am I going to do? Can't really do much there. So one of these teams, I'm going to take Tony down a game. Tony, you're going down to 6 and 10. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions down to 8 and 8, and I'll take Indy down to 8 and 8. So that gets me to 2 games lower than I want to be. I'm going to take it off of Wayne. You're going to 3 and 13, and Dale, you're going 3 and 13. Oh, wait a minute, I'm the other way now. Hold on, I didn't need to do that. 4 and 12, back to 4 and 12. That should get me. Wait a minute. Oh, I only need to do it once. Sorry. Math is hard. There we go. So I will take Wayne down to 3 and 13. So that takes us to 192 and 192. My books are balanced. The top teams I have, of course, are San Francisco, Houston, Seattle, and then a bunch of 10 and and then Jay 11 and 5. Then some 10-win teams in Chicago, Miami, and the Jets and San Diego, and Tampa Bay and Tennessee. So it should be a really competitive season. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 teams finishing in double-digit wins. That's going to make for a very competitive playoff game. So I will predict the San Francisco 49ers will be the Super Bowl champs. And we'll see who Tom predicts. Delete. I'll say the Super Bowl is going to be San Francisco versus Seattle. I'll predict myself as getting back to the big game. No, San Francisco and Houston. Let's go with Paul and Paul and Ed. Control B. That's my Super Bowl. And we'll say San Francisco wins it 28 to Houston 24. Be a nice, competitive, exciting Super Bowl. So there you go, guys. Tom will give the rest of his predictions in the chat room, and he can maybe talk about the rest of the teams. So I'm going to shut this down, and thanks for joining me. And Tom, he had an interview. He had to interview somebody, so he had to jump off, and that was 15 minutes ago. So he apologizes. He had a hard deadline. Let me unshare here. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Good luck for the season, and like I said, it should be really competitive. Tom can jump in if you really want Tom to talk about your team. I'm kind of stalling here, hoping he jumps back on, but that's it, guys. That's all I got to say. I can't filibuster and wait till Tom gets back. So I'm going to shut it down. Hope you enjoyed it. And for the Giants, Eagles, Steelers, Chargers, 49ers, Seahawks, Buccaneers, and Titans, Tom's going to do his own little mini podcast where he talks about us and then give his final predictions. So I'll put this out on the forum. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care and good luck this season.